Trying to let Rumble catch up because it cuts us off every single day. Wendy Bell Radio is live.
It is official. You know, I think about it sometimes. If somebody's watching and not listening, they probably think I have some mental problem.
Well,
I look around.
Would they be too far off?
That's not very friendly.
I didn't say it was.
That's
friendly.
not very friendly because right before we went on the air, he was asking for clarification for something that I was saying. I was having a hard time saying something, and I kind of finally got it out, and then he trampled all over it. Rail just drove right over it and made it all about him. So I was like, okay, as long as it's all about you.
About?
Do you know what? Today is the 4-year anniversary that you and Kate took Bobby and Chris to Shenley, to the Bob, to walk that godforsaken golf course.
Oh, my gosh. I don't know what was worse.
Just
golfing with 3 people who can't golf or the walk.
Yeah.
The walk was pretty brutal.
It's a bare 9 holes. Yes, it's all it is.
And when, you play one shot and you wait for everybody to catch up.
Yeah. You're not getting into your mojo.
But God bless Bobby and Schmobby and Tris. Because Kate would hit it and it'd go like 3 feet. And he'd be like, well, nice try, Kate. I'm like, you guys aren't helping.
See, they know how to be gentlemen.
Yeah. I personally think they were looking for her to go, oh, nice shot.
For them?
Bobby hitting the fence straight across from him. I'm like, oh, for the love of God. I never wanted to have a stroke so bad walking up a hill.
At least if I have a medical emergency, I can lie down.
Not just lie down and be like, can we end this now? From then on.
Hey, I want to talk to you guys quickly about the Wellness Company. The Wellness Company, I want to tell you about their contagion emergency kit. And we are paying attention. We're paying attention to all these percolations of danger. You've got assassination attempts. You have literal coups within our government, cybersecurity threats, and now monkeypox, bird flu, whatever the hell they're going to try to unleash on us. I am protecting my family, and I'm taking this seriously by getting this contagion emergency kit from the Wellness Company. I actually already have mine. Now you can as well, okay? This kit is no joke. It is your frontline defense against whatever they throw at us next. And it's gross to even say that, but it's true. This comes packed with ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, those crazy things that weren't supposed to help you. Horse dewormer. Yeah, right. Also, Z-Pak, Tamiflu, budesonide. What the hell? I don't even know what that's called. And a nebulizer for people who know what that is. It's obviously part of this kit, and it's important. But what it is more than that is peace of mind. It's peace of mind. Comes to your door in a couple weeks. It's only for consumers in the United States. And right now, you can get this for less than the single cost of a doctor's visit, right? Have MedExpress at your house. Be ready by going to twc.health/Wendy. Use my name, Wendy, and you're going to get $30 off at checkout. Again, this is the Contagion Emergency Kit. Do not be caught flat-footed because obviously we have to learn from how we were duped before, and I'm not going to be a fool again. twc.health/Wendy, promo code Wendy, $30 off at checkout. There you go. And by the way, I'm going to be talking to you about my Native Hydrate because today I'm drinking a new flavor. Today it's the wild berry, the mixed berry. It's quite delicious. I'm going to tell you all about it coming up. All right.
I wish I had chucked the fence when I was golfing with those guys.
You would have been all over the place.
I'd have
you
probably ripped the clubs out of their hands.
You would have been like, I got all of them. And you would have just run up that hill. Especially at that number 3. Is it number 2? Number 2, the one that's straight up. No, thanks. All right, so let's see where we are. How is everybody? You did
number 2.
You did hole number 2. What is this?
No, there's like hole 2, 7, 9.
Well, it's the one that you're literally blind shot up over a hill, and then you have to huff and puff your way.
Yeah, that's like
over
2 and 7.
As I said, it's like 2. So anyway, you guys did really well yesterday, and I appreciate it. 1.05. Now, personally, I always think that we should be able to start with 1.5, but beggars can't be choosers. We got 5,800 people and counting. We've got 275 on X. And by the way, I ran out of time. Snap.
4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
You can be in the middle of a hurricane.
You have sanctuary in the city of Chicago.
Or you can be on a calm day. North is still north. You could be in a thunderstorm.
I am angry. We are not going back. Not ever.
North is still north. People can yell at you.
The hell with the Supreme Court. We will defy them.
North is still north. It doesn't change fundamental things. And in this business, right is still right, even if you stand by yourself.
We don't get fooled again. No.
Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we're converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Hello, America, and beyond the fruited plain. Welcome home to your source for common sense conservative values. This is the Wendy Bell radio program. Put it in your phone right now. Wendy Bell Radio Network. Up is our app will pop up. You want to get it on your phone. Follow along the live video stream. You want to get the podcast, get that downloaded, Wendy Bell Radio, because what you're going to get on this program today is that deep look, deeper into the issues that we all know are going on out there. And something very exciting is happening. And I really cannot wait to walk through the next 3 hours with you and defend my, I'm going to say, preposition. I believe we are seeing a major beginning of a major defection, rather, I should say, from the Democratic Party. And I've got proof, and it's exciting, right? So hang out, pull up your chair, hang for a while, and please, next time when you come, think about bringing a friend, because we are growing and we're delighted to have you be part of our family. Welcome home, as always. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. You know, it's no coincidence that this Mark Zuckerberg story is making the rounds out there. Apparently, Mark Zuckerberg is coming out now in public. And he says, you know what? I really kind of regret really listening to the Biden administration during the whole COVID thing and even before Joe Biden was allegedly elected. And we sat on that laptop story because they told us, the FBI told us it was Russian disinformation. And I feel badly about that. I should have been better. I'll be better next time. It's very interesting that Mark Zuckerbucks would say that now, right on the heels of this election, as what we're seeing. You're seeing it, I'm seeing it. An avalanche of Democratic voter defections fueling these Republican gains, not only in the polls, but also in the voter registration right now. And this is very interesting. Mark Zuckerberg knows what's coming, you guys. All of a sudden, The Rock, I see videos of Dwayne The Rock Johnson saying that he was a little quick back in 2020 to give because of his ability to influence people. You know, I felt I had a calling. I had a need to do this. And I got behind the Biden administration. I was wrong. I'm not going to make that mistake again, he said. Why ever would this be? Why are voters switching allegiance out of disgust, perhaps, with the Democratic Party's pro-inflation, pro-criminal, open border, identity-obsessed policies, perhaps? Yeah, for starters. But I think the stuff that boils down to you and to me is this basic idea of being able to say what you want to say and not have people have their knives out for you. I mean, it's the greatest injustice of all that we've experienced. Did you guys catch wind of this? Apparently, there's a whole gaggle of rhinos, establishment wannabe Republicans who have gummed up the Republican Party for decades, who I blame. John McCain, I know he's dead. Rhino, dirty in many ways in my mind, working with Democrats to screw us over and to begin the decline of the United States of America. Period. Do you see this letter? Bush, McCain, and Romney alumni for Kamala Harris. They're jumping over and they're endorsing a known radical Marxist communist, Kamala Harris, a woman who has not iterated anything of her policies, save for wanting to continue this downward spiral of the United States and inflict upon Americans a 28% corporate tax, a 44.6% capital gains tax, a 25% tax on unrealized gains. So you get taxed on money that hasn't even made it into your freaking bank account, and price controls. And these are the people, like 238 of these clowns, who've signed this letter to try to convince you that Donald Trump is a threat to democracy, that the salvation of America rests in the hands of Kamala Harris. Really? I want to read you a little bit about this, okay? This is what the letter says. Friends, this is pivotal. This is like the 51 former intelligence officials saying that the laptop was Russian disinformation. The minute you take your pen and you put it on the paper and you sign your name, we have a live testimony of who you are, what side you're on, your allegiances. And so when you come back and you try to say, no, I didn't really mean that, we're like, well, is that your signature? So familiar. Listen to this. 4 years ago, President George W. Bush, the late Senator John McCain, and then Governor Mitt Romney, alumni, the freshman squad, the interns, their secretaries came together to warn fellow Republicans that re-electing President Trump would be a disaster for our nation. In those declarations, we stated the plain truth, each predicting that another 4 years of a Trump presidency would irreparably damage our beloved democracy. What are you saying, guys? You're putting your pen on paper as former Romney, McCain, and Bush staffers and inner circle suckers that Donald Trump is a danger. You are the uniparty. You are the establishment. You are all that sucks about politics, you 238 little weasels. So I could read you the whole letter, but I'm going to tell you from which divisions of these various men's presidencies or Senate governor jobs these people come from. FEMA, the EPA, the Department of Transportation, the USDA, the FAA, the Office of Drug Control Policy, the National Security Council, the SEC, Department of Energy, DHS, Department of the Treasury, HUD, USAID, that suck acronym, Department of Education, Committee on Indian Affairs, Department of Agriculture, political interns, ladies and gentlemen, even the guy who was the chopper pilot of Marine One, who flew George Bush around, signed this letter saying Donald Trump is an existential threat. And by golly, we know what we're talking about. Believe us and vote for Kamala. The panic is real. I want you to consider for a moment. These people spent less time celebrating the honor, the memory of those 13 U.S. service members killed at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan because Joe Biden pulled out and did what he did. They spend more time gathering signatures for this stupid statement about how they support Kamala Harris than they gave one rip about those 13 families, than they gave one rip about you and yours. The pressure is real. The tea leaves are on the table. And everybody knows what is coming. Now, this is one of the beautiful things about living in this digital age. The speed with which perhaps one could pen an article such as this, alleging Donald Trump is a threat and Kamala Harris is the only salvation. Please, nobody has ever said those words together at once before. We have a record of you guys. We know exactly who Mitt freaking Romney is. We know exactly who George W. Bush is. And we know damn well who John McCain was. We are MAGA. We don't associate with you. We don't care what you say, but we will never forget it. As these defections pile up, my friends. You do know, of course, the GOP now holds a 47 to 46% edge over Democrats in terms of sheer voter registration. You do know, of course, that Gen Z, voters 18 to 29, are leaving the Democratic Party in droves. In 2020, friends, Joe Biden allegedly won 20 percentage points, beat Trump by 20 percentage points in this category. You know what that's down to now? 6. They know what's coming, my friends. And they're putting their names and their signatures all over it. It's nice to see with clarity exactly who the players, the dark forces are. And when we come back, let's talk about this tale of two presidential contenders. Where was Donald Trump yesterday during the 3rd anniversary of the bombing in Kabul? And where was Kamala Harris? You decide. Who's more presidential? Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. How about this? In 2020, Donald Trump won 32% of the Hispanic votes. Joe Biden got 65%. 4 years later today, Joe Biden 65 is now 45%. He lost 20%, right? This article I'm reading is before he dropped out. I'm giving you just the percentages of the change from 2020 to now. Do you think people are going to line up for Kamala Harris? Please.
I was going to say, I don't think Joe needs to wrangle that himself. I think the Democrats lost that.
Oh yeah.
With their radical gender LGBT
100%.
They
gave
lost
him carte blanche.
More taxes.
You
illegals.
Put Richard Levine in an admiral's uniform, dressed up like a woman, we knew we were in crazy world.
I love how you remember the whole we're going to bring decency back to the White House as they're humping in the Senate chambers.
Hey, I like taking video of that sort of stuff too. I think it's super tactful. And then nobody got in trouble. It's perfect. Perfect. But if you wanted to deny making somebody a cake because you didn't want to, they'd be up your skirt in no time. I want to tell you about Dr. Richard Rafferty at the Disc Institute of Pittsburgh, 412-906-9600. Dr. Rafferty has revolutionized an option for you in the world of spinal stenosis and surgery to fix it. And the great part of all is it's not surgery. It is a therapy to allow your discs to grow back, because your body's an amazing thing and it can regenerate. And Dr. Rafferty has developed this procedure. It's called intradisc neutrosis, and that's what it does. It allows you to go through therapy and spend time getting better rather than going under the knife and then spending the time healing from what you hope is going to be a successful operation. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com, PittsburghDiscInstitute.com, 412-906-9600. You're going to love them. You're going to love what they do. You're going to love how they work. They actually really give a rip about you, unlike your government. PittsburghDiscInstitute.com.
When are they going to realize that people don't care what these people think? What are with these lists?
Political interns, Brock. Does anybody give a crap? It's sort of how I feel about Cassidy Hutchinson.
Yeah.
You know,
dirtbag.
she was like Mark Meadows' secretary. And all of a sudden,
Ooh.
yeah, right? And she's the one, like, she could tell you exactly what was going on inside the beast because, you know, she was riding in it with President Trump. Oh, that's right. No, she wasn't.
She was just butthurt she didn't get a job, which goes to prove you shouldn't get a job. I mean, who really cares? Who really, really cares? I don't understand why they think we care. This goes along with your feeling this morning.
In 1982, on my 8th grade field trip from Southern California to Washington, D.C., to visit the monuments, the museums, the history, I was selected to do the wreath ceremony that President Trump did yesterday at Arlington National Cemetery. And at that time in 1982, it was the tomb of the unknown soldier. Now that they've, of course, developed all of the DNA analysis and things of that nature, science, they know that there are remains of multiple individuals, and so it's the tomb of the unknowns, though they've been able to identify some of them. Yesterday, watching this video of President Trump at Arlington walking down the stairs in a very crisp, calculated fashion, and watching his face as he put his hands on the wreath, the same way the soldiers there told me to, 40 odd years ago, 42 years ago. I remember that. Seeing the change of that sentinel, of that guard, is something that we should all see at least once in our lives. Because it is the ultimate in reverence, in respect, in appreciation for the greatest sacrifice. And obviously, the tomb represents all of that. Kamala Harris was nowhere to be seen yesterday. Joe Biden apparently is asleep on a beach in Delaware. God knows who's running our country. I want to read you this as President Trump went to Arlington yesterday to honor the 13 fallen heroes from Afghanistan, from that botched withdrawal. Doing this wreath-laying ceremony, laid the wreath, placed his hand over his heart as a bugler played taps in honor of those lost on August 26th, 2021, during that attack, the suicide guy at Kabul airport. It didn't have to happen. None of it had to happen. The cavalier and downright disregard, the cavalier treatment of, and the downright disregard for the military, the bodies of those 13 service members. You'll never forget Biden looking at his watch and the lies about why he was doing it and all of that. And then after the fact, him speaking of his son, saying that Bo died in Iraq and somehow he could commiserate with the people his freaking lousy order blew up, right? And then the administration, the mouthpieces, the Jen Psaki's of the world lying, and the Sunday shows covering it up. It's you get to a point where it's too much. Everybody has a different breaking point. Too much. But you didn't have to be plugged into history to see who was there and to see who wasn't. Donald Trump showed up in Long Island after that New York police officer was shot and killed by a migrant, Joe Biden's open borders. allowed into this country to be a serial repeat offender. Joe Biden was yucking it up with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama at Radio City Music Hall when Trump flew into Long Island to spend a couple hours with that officer's widow and little boy. It's not just optics. It's not just pretending. It's not acting for a camera. It's about actual care. And I don't think Kamala Harris has the ability to fake it, which is why they're keeping her from the public. She is cold. She is calculated. She hates this country. And she wants more than anything the seat behind the desk. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. A commander-in-chief flies on Thanksgiving to Afghanistan. Trump did that. A commander-in-chief goes to the site of a devastating train derailment, which has no doubt caused God knows what kind of adverse health effects, and for how long in that population in East Palestine, Ohio. A commander-in-chief is there when an entire community is incinerated in a head-scratching natural disaster that didn't have to be. And everybody sees Kamala Harris is no commander-in-chief. When we come back on this program, we're going to walk through some steps because I want to ask you if you can hear the theme and the change. I've taken quite a bit of umbrage with Neil Cavuto from Fox. He has said some things in the past that I think are ridiculous that unveil him as a quote-unquote rhino as well, if he is anything at all. Yesterday, however, he had John Kirby on to specifically talk about Kamala Harris's AWOL identity during this whole third anniversary. And I want you to listen to this new Neil and John Kirby trying to desperately pretend that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have it all under control. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Brock, you could see me get sucked into this morning because I heard that Neil Cavuto bite and I'm like, oh, all of a sudden now you're going to be asking some harder questions. And then I thought back to why I dislike him so much. And I had to find that soundbite, right? When he's talking with Vivek Ramaswamy, this was last summer. And he's like, but Vivek, he called him Vivek, but Vivek.
That's racist.
91 criminal charges. They can't all be incorrect, right? They can't all be wrong. And I wanted to be like, my man, are you for real? So he died to me that day. Sort of like Brett Baer, 6%.
Mr. No Neck.
Mr. No Neck, 6%. Kind of like your girlfriend.
Don't.
What's her face?
Don't.
You call her Sandra.
Don't.
Please, let's not try to spice her up. Sandy Smith, whatever. She's a hack too. You don't want me
Watch
to criticize
out.
you,
I
girl?
have my Chuck.
You have your Chuck defense. I will make sure I take that into account here. All right, let's talk to you guys. What do we have coming up? I want to tell you about CB Distillery. Brock has a QR code. Now, for those of you who are not technologically wizardry like inclined, I'm not. This is super easy to do when you just open up your camera, right? Boom, there's your camera. And you just hover over the QR code and it puts a bubble around it, and you just touch it and then it opens up that landing page. It's intended to be super easy for you so you don't have to go, cbdistillery.com. So I want to tell you about this, and we have a new promo code because they are now putting everything in the store on sale up to 40% off, which is like, that's as good as it's going to get. I mean, that's pretty freaking outstanding. So here's the story. CBDistillery.com giving Rumble an exclusive offer, and it's pretty big. Right now, you can get up to 40% off of everything. If you've already struggled, I mean, you've struggled with sleep, with anxiety, with pain after physical activity, CBDistillery.com has a targeted plant-powered solution for you. And I love hearing from so many of you about how these products have changed your life. And I appreciate that because me too. So if better sleep, more calm, and relief from discomfort after physical activity sounds good to you, then go to cbdistillery.com. Don't miss this massive sale. Get up to 40% off your order. cbdistillery.com. Enter Rumble as your promo code Rumble, and you'll get that coupon. Pretty nice. I have this, but I also have the salve. Brock stole the roll-on, I think. If not, I just blame him, which is very convenient for me.
I stole it.
I know you did. All right, let's see what we got going on. How many rumbles do we have? Did we hit 1.5? Oh, we're almost at 2. What? Why do you guys make me sweat it out so much? I don't understand that. That's just not very friendly.
Good question, Amanda.
What?
She asked where everybody's watching from. That's nice to see. Like, you know, I can go through the orders of everyone who ordered stuff from the swag store.
Yes.
And just seeing where it's from, where you guys are all from ordering stuff is.
What's the farthest away? Have you seen anything? I saw in Oregon.
Yeah,
Maine.
Arizona, California, Arizona, literally Montana. I was trying to count all the states. Kansas.
Look at you guys. Vermont, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Wyoming, Michigan, Virginia, Georgia. Holy moly. Nebraska, Florida, Maryland, California, Anchorage. Thanks, Wildlife Watcher 1.
Texas,
Anchorage.
Wyoming.
Look at that. Mississippi, North Carolina, Georgia, New Jersey, Texas, Wisconsin. I mean, South Dakota.
Oklahoma, where the winds come sweeping down the plains.
I love it. Kansas.
We're not in Kansas anymore.
I love you guys. This is Illinois. It's fantastic. I know. I feel you. Male Bugen 333. Hello. Good morning. What's going on? Hi, Lisa. Lisa CZ from Charlotte. It's great to see you. Joe Pruz, Southeast Michigan. Hi, Charlie from Camarillo, California. One of the coldest places I've ever been.
Really?
Well, it was because it was a football game. I was a cheerleader. It was raining. It was freezing. And then the fog came in and we weren't dressed appropriately. I've never been so cold. Ontario, New York, Smoky Lake, Alberta, Canada. Thank you. Rezuski. Hopefully I said that right. Scranton. Scranton's sort of like Shalakta. It sounds kind of dirty.
Everybody saying where they're from better be rumbling too. Just saying.
This is just our early point whore. That's just what we're doing. Land Before Time, Maggie. I hear you, babe. Hi from Delaware. What's going on? One freedom fighter, John. Yes. Hi, Beebs. Hi, Beebs.
I do actually like the Chuck Roundhouse.
Hi, Darius. Hi, Demanda. Hi, Salty.
He
Billy.
belongs in Leavenworth.
Hi, Susie.
Iowa.
I love you guys.
Florida.
Very exciting. You guys are wonderful. I'm really excited by this.
It's coming your boyfriend. Let's put Wendy in a good mood.
Oh, no. Oh, no. What could it be?
Oh, really?
What could it be?
I think everybody knows.
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. So you know what? I want to get back to this story. John Solomon from Just the News broke it this morning. And this is what he says. He says hundreds of former Bush, Romney, and McCain aides endorse Kamala Harris over President Trump. I want as though that's going to move your needle, as though you're going to be like, you know what? I was really on the fence. I historically have very much enjoyed the low interest rates, the low inflation, the low unemployment. I think the value of the dollar, the respect of America globally, the whole world peace thing, and just how I felt inside about this beautiful country. I mean, I liked it, but now that these couple hundred people who are hacks who used to work with these rhinos are telling me I should vote for Kamala, well, okay, said nobody with a functioning cerebral cortex. I want to read you what these people write, though, okay? And again, I told you where these people have all worked. Every branch of the federal government, from the guy who flew Marine One, flew George W. Bush around, to political interns and like advisors for the Food and Drug Administration. All these people come out of the woodwork to sign this letter saying, you know what? I know you guys don't know us, but we're all for Kamala Harris. Really? Okay. Well, let's listen. This is what they write. And then we're going to get to Neil Cavuto. He still kind of sucks. Here we go. 4 years ago, President George W. Bush, the late Senator John McCain, and then Governor Mitt Romney, alumni, came. We're all in this together. You guys feeling it? Oh, yeah. We're coming out together. We're coming together to warn fellow Republicans that re-electing President Trump would be a disaster for our nation. Okay. In these declarations, we stated the plain truth, each predicting that another 4 years of a Trump presidency would irreparably damage our beloved democracy. What does that mean? They don't even know. This is a good catchphrase. We made those announcements months before lies about a stolen election became everyday talking points. And it's almost like these people are all in on it. And 6 months before Trump incited an insurrection, cheering on a mob of sore losers and sycophants as they try to use force to overturn the will of the American public. I am going to tell you now, George W. Bush is an enemy of America. Mitt Romney is an enemy of America. John McCain was an enemy of America. They are enemies of yours in just that one paragraph. How dare you? The letter continues. We reunite today, joined by new George W. Bush alumni. Oh, goody. To reinforce our 2020 statements and for the first time, jointly declare that we are voting for Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz this November. Tells you everything you need to know. Of course, we have plenty of honest, ideological disagreements with Vice President Harris. That she's a Marxist? I mean, like, maybe? And Governor Walz. That's to be expected. The alternative, however, is simply untenable. Really? At home, another 4 years of Donald Trump's chaotic leadership, this time focused on advancing the dangerous goals of Project 2025. Will be real, and it will hurt real everyday people and weaken our sacred institutions. Abroad, democratic movements will be irreparably jeopardized as Trump and his acolyte, J.D. Vance, kowtow to dictators like Vladimir Putin while turning their backs on our allies. Bum, bum, bum. We can't let that happen. We know now, thanks to exit polling and voter data, that it was moderate Republicans and conservative independents in key swing states that ultimately delivered the presidency to Joe Biden. Honest, hardworking Americans in Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and beyond that put country far before party. We're heartfully calling on these friends, colleagues, neighbors, and family members to take a brave stand once more, to vote for leaders that will strive for consensus, not chaos, that will work to unite, not divide, and that will make our country and our children proud. Those leaders are Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz. Signed by, and then it's all of their names. Do you need more glaring proof of the uniparty than what I just read? Donald Trump is not part of it. The reason he's so dangerous is he's going to blow it all up and expose them. And I think what's going to come out in the next several years will have heads rolling. These people spent more time writing this document and getting all of these signatures than they have spent investigating the assassination attempt of President Trump last month. Think about that. All right. I had to get that off my chest. I feel much better now. Thank you. All right. Neil Cavuto yesterday, and we're talking about the 3-year anniversary of the unnecessary deaths of 13 service members in Kabul. And Neil Cavuto has Biden-Harris spokeshack John Kirby on, who's far more powerful than I think any of us could possibly imagine. And he's going to ask him, you know what, John, Neil says, Joe Biden has lied. He said no soldiers died on his watch, and that's just not true. So let's listen to the question before we dig into the BS of the answer. Go.
But, you know, today is the 3rd anniversary of that Abbey Gate attack that killed 13 of our servicemen. And I know you've addressed that today by saying today our longest war is over, but our commitment to preventing attacks on the homeland, our people, will never be. But as you know, John, a lot of people hearken back to Joe Biden saying that the truth is I'm the only president this century, this decade, that doesn't have any troops dying anywhere in the world like he did, referring to Donald Trump, when in fact that was the case. And besides those 13 who died, 2 Navy SEALs who were killed in January of 2024 while attempting to board a ship bound for Yemen. And he has never clarified it himself or apologized for those remarks himself. I know he offered praise and recognition of these soldiers' bravery 3 years ago, but he has never corrected the record to say, I was wrong and I was callously wrong.
I was wrong and I was callously wrong. In fact, I was campaigning on it up until just 6 weeks ago, until obviously to everybody in the world that they found out that I am demented, right? This is an opportunity for John Kirby. These are inflection points. We're watching, John. We're listening, John. We remember the caskets, John. We remember Joe Biden's ambivalence as he checked his wristwatch. John, this is your opportunity. What are you going to do with it, sir? Well, let's listen in. Here's John Kirby's response.
What he was referring to, and he understands that there were family members that, that didn't like that, but what he was referring to was the fact that he ended America's longest war and that we don't have American troops, on the ground in major ways fighting overseas wars. Now, that doesn't mean that we don't have troops in harm's way. Of course we do. We have some in Iraq. We have some in Syria. We have some at sea, and certainly we have some in the air every single day, and he knows that.
But it's very little comfort, right, to those families, John, and I don't want to extend this beyond what you yourself are trying to clarify, but the president himself, if you make an incorrect statement and you keep making that incorrect statement, is he compelled himself, wherever he is, vacationing or not, to say, I was wrong to miss this obvious point about no soldiers dying under my watch.
See, Neil, they don't care. They don't care. This is the difference between going to the tomb of the unknowns at Arlington. You don't fake the face that you wear. You don't fake your body language. You don't fake what it feels like and what your body expresses when you hear the bugler and taps. You don't fake what it feels like to look beyond that giant tomb and to see the ocean of headstones beyond it. Is it possible for John Kirby to spin his way out of this? No, but this is very interesting. Because Neil Cavuto wants John Kirby to say he's sorry. Well, I want to remind Neil Cavuto that perhaps he needs to say he's sorry as well. Remember this last summer when he was talking with Vivek Ramaswamy, then candidate for president? Listen.
I say, yes, these prosecutions are wrong.
But I can understand that. But there are 91 criminal charges in all, Vivek, as you're aware, over 4 criminal cases. They can't all be politicized, can they? I mean, there's something that the former president must have done in any one of these that struck you as wrong, if not illegal.
Wow, that is just amazing, Neil Cavuto. And let's go back now. Let's go back to John Kirby, who says, you know what? He's going to make an excuse. He's going to come up with an excuse for why Joe Biden doesn't care. Go.
He also recognizes, Neil, that nothing he can say, particularly on a day like today, when we should be remembering the 13 who were killed at Abbey Gate, nothing he can say is going to assuage their grief, their sorrow. Nothing he's going to be able to say or do is going to make them feel better about losing their loved ones.
Sounds an awful lot like something I recall. Let's go back in time, shall we, Brock?
The fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. Was it because of a protest, or was it because of guys out for a walk one night who decided they'd go kill some Americans? What difference at this point does it make?
What difference at this point does it make? You know what? It makes a freaking difference to people whose sons and daughters are dead. John Kirby and Neil Cavuto, as much as I appreciate you pretending to be outraged by this, you stepped in the poo sandwich earlier, my man. I'm sorry. I don't forgive. I don't forget. We know exactly who you are. And it's all a disgrace. Kamala, Joe Biden, AWOL, no shows, nothing. No social media posts, nothing. Donald Trump at Arlington, hands on the wreath, period. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, my friends, a Democrat for 20 years walks away from the party and endorses President Trump. And you will hear it next. What's he going to say? Oh, I don't know. You know, what was Donald Trump going to say to the widow of the police officer who was brutally killed in New York? Well, what do you say? How are you? You do the best you can. You're there in the moment. You show up. They don't even care to show up. They don't show up. They don't put a meme up about it or some kind of a picture on social media in memory of or never forgotten or what have you. Zero.
Yeah, they're so worried about giving visibility to LGBTQ, about visibility to the families.
It's so galling. It's so offensive. I'm not in the military. I love the military. All right, let's go. I want to talk about, you know what? How about ya? A little Simkovich Concussion Institute. We were just having this conversation in the stands at a tournament my kids were in over the weekend, soccer tournament, because normally before the kids start playing, they have baseline concussion testing so that there's a scan of where they are now without anything wrong. And then if something happens to them and they get hurt on the field, they can be retested and we can see if there's a difference between baseline and any possible injury. Okay, so that being said, once you have that, now what do you do? You take it easy. take an Advil. I don't know. You go to see Dr. Charles Simkovich of the Simkovich Concussion Institute because this is what he does. This is his jam. His whole world is helping you and the people you love going through a traumatic brain injury or a concussion, or even if you suffer punishing chronic headaches, go see Dr. Simkovich. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. SimkovichConcussionInstitute.com. So freaking helpful. And they can tap into what is wrong and fix it because they are the experts, and they can get you in and back on your feet in no time compared to other treatments. 412-366-3700. 412-366-3700. Literally, I've given out his business card in that way to parents wherever I am. Simkovich Concussion Institute. Don't fiddle around with other folks. This is the guy. This is the expert.
So you ask who's the farthest away?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to say Kay Meddock from Northern Ireland.
Here right now?
Yeah. So, and a shout out to somebody from, I'm hoping it's the Harmony that I was from, Angel Girl, Harmony, PA. There's two of them relatively close. So I'm just going to claim you as the one I am from.
I love this. I'm glad you're here. Thank you. I also love seeing what you guys have been buying. Like, it's super interesting to see what everybody wants. I saw a couple more ball caps, Brock, go, which is interesting.
Mostly Peace Keys and Challenge coins were the two biggest. Why
would that be? I love my Peace Key. 8 years, baby. 8 years. Me gusta.
You playing the last Neil?
Yes, thank you for that. I skipped it. I'm fussy. I've been fussy since 3.
3.
So we saw where President Trump was yesterday. He was in Arlington. I have no idea where Kamala Harris was. She was hiding from the media, doing whatever the hell it is that she does. Where's Joe Biden? I don't know. They've called a lid on him through at least the week. He's sitting on a beach somewhere in Rehoboth, Delaware. Neil Cavuto getting a bee in his bonnet. A random act of journalism asks John Kirby, one of the spokeshacks for the Biden administration. So, like, where is Joe? How engaged is Joe Biden? Like, is he plugged into anything? This is where the suck spin comes to play. This is why nobody trusts their government, because of hacks and their responses like this.
I'm a little confused, John. I know the president took vacation last week in California after the Democratic convention. He's heading another week to that in Rehoboth, Delaware this week. How engaged is he in any of this?
He's very engaged, Neil. I mean, you know as well as I do, the President of the United States, wherever they are, have access to all the communications and all the advisors that they need. I mean, he was being updated on the attacks over the weekend in real time by his national security team. He was on the phone with Prime Minister Modi today talking about Ukraine. And last week, he made several calls to try to make sure that we could get these ceasefire talks off to a good start. He's watching things very, very closely.
Right. He's right on it. He's dragging his chair across the sand, right? With his nurse's aid. And he's totally plugged into all that's going on. Got it. This is why I say to you, Robert Kennedy Jr., he's the first step, ladies and gentlemen, or maybe Elon Musk was. And now the defections continue. Yesterday, Tulsi Gabbard officially walked away from the Democratic Party after 20 years. Listen to what she said as she endorsed President Trump at the National Guard Association General Conference in Detroit.
The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before. This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief. Because I am confident that his first task will be to do the work to walk us back from the brink of war. We cannot be prosperous unless we are at peace. And we can't live free as long as we have a government that is retaliating against its political opponents and undermining our civil liberties, weaponizing our very institutions against those they deem as a threat. Kamala Harris has done this over the last 3.5 years. She won't hesitate to continue that if she is elected as president. President Trump has been their first and foremost target in this because they don't want us as voters to even have the option to vote for him. I've been their most recent target, added to a secret domestic terror watch list after exposing the truth about what kind of dangers we would face if Kamala Harris is elected as president. We as Americans must stand together to reject this anti-freedom culture of political retaliation and abuse of power. We can't allow our country to be destroyed by politicians who will put their own power ahead of the interests of the American people, our freedom, and our future. I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
I mean, you could never imagine Kamala Harris being able to deliver something like that, let alone, and I'm sure she's reading, let alone be able to speak off the cuff from the heart, because the heart is dark and they know that. Who's next? Who's going to be the next person? Who's going to be the next group? What's going to be the next demographic who has their great awakening and realizes that they've been lied to for the last time? When we come back, hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell radio program, you know, the media, the DNC, they do remain our public enemy number 1. I want you to listen to some of the conversations going on out there. Okay? I got all of it for you and some data as well. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I love Kevin O'Leary. I love people who are not inherently politically driven, who are forced to say things and justify what they're saying and saying, I'm not trying to be partisan. I'm being a businessman. I can't make investment decisions if I don't know what Kamala Harris's fiscal policy is, if I don't know what her policy, what her plans are, and she refuses to tell us any of them, right? How am I supposed to? Now he's getting pissed.
You gotta love that. We heard Nancy Pelosi say it before. You gotta sign it to see what's in it. It's almost like the campaign slogan for Kamala. You have to elect me to know what I want, what I think about this.
Yep. I don't disagree.
Killing it on Rumble.
Are we?
Yeah, 267.
That's awesome.
A lot of new followers too.
Hey, we got another QR code to put up on the screen. It is an end of summer sale. This is brand new from Field of Greens, and your promo code is going to be Rumble this time. Normally it's Wendy. Fieldofgreens.com. Put in the promo code Rumble. I want to tell you what they're doing here and what they're saying. And I love this. All right. It almost never happens. I've shared how I do. I use Field of Greens for my own health. So if you've waited to try it, now is the time. Brick House Nutrition is having the end of summer site-wide sale. And with the code RUMBLE, you're going to save big on everything there, including my favorite Field of Greens. Field of Greens is the healthiest habit you can have. It is whole, organic fruits and vegetables. It is exactly what your body needs for proper nutrition. Every single organic fruit and vegetable, specifically chosen, selected by doctors to support vital organs, including your heart, your liver, your kidneys, your metabolism, your immune system, and only Field of Greens is backed by a better health promise. Okay. So at your next doctor's checkup, your doctor will notice your improved health or you get your money back. Don't miss this massive end of summer sale. Go to fieldofgreens.com. Use the promo code RUMBLE to save on everything. You need to jump. It's not going to be here for long. Fieldofgreens.com.
So, Amanda with another good question. How did you first hear about Wendy Bell Radio? And I'm curious,
that's great.
Salty McGroin said he learned about us from family members in Pittsburgh, but where are you from, Salty? Some people saying they've been with you since the basement where we had the great flood.
Browsing Rumble, Dark Lord Pork. I love the name. Browsing Rumble. That's interesting. And so you clicked on us?
Next goal on the Dan Bongino show. Okay.
Stumbled on Wendy via the pics at the top of available channels browser. That's awesome.
The next goal is 50,000 followers.
Wait, you heard about me on the Dan Bongino show? I doubt that.
I think in the chat.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
I saw you on Newsmax. That doesn't surprise me.
Saw you after a Benny Johnson video. Thanks, Bug. Let's see. She was a guest on some other Rumble show I was watching. The Radar Man said that.
Which Rumble show?
Yeah, I don't know.
You've only been on Sean's and Jay.
Sherry, you're a hardcore. I love you for that. Hey, Mad Dog USA, retired.
Roll the firings. Yep.
Learned about Wendy from people in Dan Bongino chat last year. Oh, that's awesome. Newsmax. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for watching there as well.
No. Dan Bongino showed a clip of the show.
Oh, that's so nice. And Sailor Jake, you saw me on Newsmax, and so you came around here. I'm trying to figure out, because I know people who watch it on the end too, because the Newsmax picks it up and simulcasts the second 2 hours of the show. But they've got commercial breaks they have to hit, and they just dump out mid-sentence and go to a commercial break. And I know it ticks off a lot of people. And I'm like, it's out of my control.
How about this?
And I feel bad because I'm like, or you can come over to our Rumble page or our app, Wendy Bell Radio Network app, and you can watch the whole show without. I mean, I'll give you commercials, but they're at least fabulous.
Heard of Wendy in a Jensen Beach fan Facebook group. Been here since the basement.
Aw.
I've been watching since Wendy was training at the first radio station, surfing the web. I started listening right after Brock's seizure, so you didn't hear me on the...
he was fixing the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bad liar.
Yeah.
I'm a very honest, terrible liar. And that's a fact.
Editor's pick on Rumble?
You know what? We have not gotten much summertime love from Rumble.
No.
Which is kind of interesting because you're forced to hump it on your own, which is good. But
Facebook in your kitchen.
Do you remember that? I got fired, and so I just went to my kitchen, and I'm like, all right, screw off. And I just did. And then Brock,
they
hated
me.
I did because you came over and you helped me.
Set it all up.
Mm-hmm. And they wanted to fire you, but they couldn't.
I was listening the day she said Brock was on the roof.
It was scary. He had a seizure. It was awful. I'll never forget going over and looking in your eyes. Those pretty blue eyes looked in mine. And it was almost like there was
here we go.
There was a connection, right?
Right.
And I was rubbing his shoulder, and he looked at me, and I was like, oh, we're connecting. Oh my gosh. And then he went and he took my hand and he threw it down. Don't touch me. And I'm like,
you see, that's fake news.
Understood.
Threw it down.
You were like,
threw it down. Really?
You did. I was like going like this.
I was not in my right
mind. And he went like that. You are enough in your right mind to be your right mind, where you're averse to everything. Don't get near him. Don't ask for a hug. Brick wall, that one is. Here I thought I saw a window into it. I was wrong. Notice how he's very quiet about all of that.
Oh my goodness.
I really do hate everyone today. And it's such a bad space to be in. Sometimes you just got to embrace the suck, right? I'm embracing it big time. Hour number 2, friends.
Quick.
No. What's wrong?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wendy Bell. Inspiring solutions to save America, one show at a time. Are you ready to get on board?
They believe that they can destroy this bond that exists between you and Trump if they somehow make Trump look bad, make Trump look like a reprobate, embarrass you about Trump. They can't do it because you came before Trump. Desperately want Trump gone, and I know that they desperately want it codified, that Trump cannot run again, because make no mistake, they remain scared to death of you, and they remain scared to death of Trump. Trump, 75 million, 80 million votes. And I'm going to tell you, you're not going anywhere. Even if Trump does, you're not. Which I think remains one of our big campaign strengths going forward. They can't separate you from Trump. And more importantly, they can't separate you from the ideas. They can't separate you from MAGA. They can't separate you from Make America Great Again.
From sea to shining sea, 3 hours of bold truth and excellence. The Wendy Bell Radio Program.
Welcome back. Hour number 2 of the Wendy Bell Radio Program is on the clock. Great to be with you. Thank you so much for sharing part of your day with us. You know, I think in general, we all have an aversion to being deceived. I don't like being fooled. I don't like being conned. I don't like being punked. I don't like haunted houses because I don't like people jumping out at me. I don't like being lied to. And I think that's probably why the circle I keep is very small. I could truly count my friends on one hand. And I feel inordinately blessed to have every single finger occupied, right? When you start to hear how much they've lied, when you really see what happens when we as a collective spend decades in hibernation, you begin to get a flavor of how infiltrated everything is by this. It's super dark, corrupt, dirty strain of America. You just do. And the people who are beginning to see it, it's truly remarkable. So briefly, consider the exodus of Generation Z away from this Democratic Party. Voters 18 to 29. For years, these are the voters who have been staunch. These are the people who have been newly indoctrinated through school. They've been groomed successfully through high school. Those who have matriculated to college have gotten full bore, Democrat suck instruction. And by the time they walk across the stage, get their diploma and move on with their lives to be crybaby, malignant people on the workforce, they've got their clone trooper outfit. It's on. They are walking. That homing chip is activated and they're ready to go. So you can imagine this drop in Gen Z voters from the Democratic Party is something that the Democrats are freaking out about. Just 24% of Generation Z, before Joe Biden dropped out, approved of the job he was doing. This is a demographic that overwhelmingly, we're told, by 20 percentage points, chose Joe Biden over Donald Trump in 2020. But now, only 1 in 4 saw anything eye to eye. Latino voters, the same thing. Reconsidering their Democratic loyalties in 2020. Donald Trump won 32% of Hispanic votes. Joe Biden crushed it with 65%. 4 years later, only 45% of Hispanic voters prefer Biden. 45, that's a drop of 20%, you guys. This isn't just a little bit here and a little bit there. Please do not tell me that these polls are neck and neck. Please do not lie to the common sense values within me that are baked into my DNA and tell me that the woman who's hiding from the media, who, when given the opportunity to speak, sounds like a dope, is neck and neck with President Trump, because that's farcical. And it's an abject lie. I don't like lies. I want you to hear this exchange. Don Lemon, formerly of CNN, trying to prove that he's still relevant by going on the street, traveling to Pittsburgh, to Ohio, to Atlantic City, New Jersey, getting a pulse of the people. I'm going to feel the heartbeat of America. What do you think, Kamala or Donald Trump? Played some of the videos last week for you. So Jen Psaki, whatever the hell her, Inside Jen Psaki or whatever the hell her show is called, just horrendous. She's got him on and she's trying to goad him into saying that Kamala Harris, I mean, she's really the hot thing. Everybody out there is talking about her. I'm not so sure she's expecting the answer he is going to give her. Listen to this.
Was there anything, what did they think about Harris? Did they have anything to say about her?
They did have, listen, it depends on where you are. We went to a number of different battleground states in Pennsylvania, Ohio. We were in Michigan, Indiana, on our way, obviously, Illinois, on our way to Chicago. And it sort of depended on where you were. Pennsylvania, well, I shouldn't say Pennsylvania, I should say Philadelphia, was a bit more liberal, and the answers to the questions about her and him were quite different. But for the most part, in Pittsburgh or in the Jersey Shore and in Atlantic City, in Ohio especially, many people did not know who she was. Right? They weren't familiar with her. So I think she has to reintroduce herself to the public. But for him, I think that they thought that he's better for the economy. And that, again, that he gave them, that he brought money into the community, and or that he was on black people's side.
Many people, Don Lemon said, didn't know who Kamala Harris was. And you're going to try to tell us, pollsters of suck, that it's neck and neck? That people are going to go for her who don't know anything about her? Are you kidding me? I want you to hear Kevin O'Leary. This is a guy, of course, from the Shark Tank. This is not a Republican guy. I don't get a vibe politically from this guy. He speaks in financial terms, investment terms, real estate, property, investing. And he says this yesterday, which is just a blistering rebuke of how ridiculous Kamala's hiding campaign from the media, how ridiculous it looks to the business world. Listen.
We're at a very interesting crossroads, because you can't imagine a president of the United States. Let's be bipartisan for a moment. Let's agree on one thing. There is no scenario where the president of the United States can't head up a press conference. Under any scenario, every president has been able to address the press, and in the good times and the bad times. She has to start talking to the press, period. There's no optionality. There's no scenario where anybody would be comfortable, particularly in the swing states with swing voters. Are thinking to myself, what do we got here? Why won't she talk to the press? I'm asking it from a policy guy. I need explanations for these policies, because I have to invest on these policies. I have questions, and I don't get any answers. I'm not being unreasonable. Come out wherever you are and talk to the press.
Talk to America. Show up for one of freaking something. And then this from Jesse Waters last night. This is important. Do you guys hear what's been going on? How they're in Detroit? They're choosing elections workers who aren't Republicans. Shocker. This is how disgusting the system has become under Democrats. Go.
Fox News alert. The Republican National Committee suing Detroit after learning the city hired 7 times more Democrats than Republicans as poll workers for the election. The RNC claims Detroit's election commission appointed about 300 Republican poll watchers compared to well over 2,000 Democrat poll watchers, breaking a state law that says there should be equal representation from both parties. RNC co-chair Lara Trump says that the committee will do everything in its power to ensure blue states play by the rules.
If you're a person who is attempting to cheat in our elections or an illegal citizen attempting to illegally vote in our elections, we will find you, we'll track you down, and we'll prosecute you to the full extent of the law. We're watching everything. We're filing lawsuits when necessary, and we're making sure we have people everywhere votes are being cast and counted to have eyes on everything.
Much different story in Texas, where Governor Greg Abbott just announced he's removed over 1 million ineligible voters from the state's voter rolls ahead of November. Nearly 500,000 of them were dead, and several thousand were non-citizens. How are thousands of foreign nationals able to register to vote in the United States? They keep saying it's illegal, and it doesn't happen. But now Virginia and Texas have just found thousands of them. Primetime hopes that more governors will follow the lead set by Glenn Youngkin and Greg Abbott.
I mean, you cannot make this up. And now as the cheat is going on, even at that in the polling place level, Kamala Harris wants special accommodations if she's going to sit down and do a debate with Donald Trump. I want to go over what these accommodations are as her campaign makes demands. They want to sit down. You want to sit down for the debate. You want to have a cheat sheet for the debate. Oh, Kamala. It's so unfortunate, isn't it? As her vice presidential pick, Tim Walz, what a peach. He gets caught lying yet again. How this whistleblower comes from Nebraska. Oh boy, next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I like how one person said they found us.
How?
During Christmas when everybody else was taking off. That could be the best. That could be the best way.
I will say that's what we do. That is what we do.
For that reason.
Yes. All right. I'm going to tell you guys about Native Hydrate. All right. I'm going to tell you first. First of all, let me open up my little cheat sheet. I can use a cheat sheet. I'm not running for president. Native Path Hydrate. This is what it looks like. It comes in different flavors. This is obviously the mixed berry. I was drinking the tangerine. There's also a peach mango flavor. And it says electrolyte and amino acid drink mix. Support for hydration, recovery, and muscle health. I got an interesting email yesterday from a gentleman who says, did you know that the older you get, the less your body tells you essentially that you're thirsty, that you need to hydrate? It's easy to become dehydrated. And unfortunately, the many effects of being dehydrated when your brain is 70% liquid, if you're not getting enough of it, you get that brain fog. I mean, I don't need help getting brain fog. I have brain fog. You get that, you get cramps, get splitting headaches. This is pretty neat, okay? Because you put a scoop in water, you shake it up, and I got my tumbler from them. It's cold, it's refreshing, and it's sweet without being sweet. This is pretty important. They say proper hydration is essentially to virtually every bodily function, but natural changes that happen with age sucks, like decreasing water reserves, declining kidney function, and digestive changes make achieving proper hydration even harder as you get older. So this is going to help you. It supports muscle health, has zero sugar in it, reduces brain fog, dizzy spells, right? Irritability. This is going to tackle that for you. Not to mention give you that boost that you need, amino acids, electrolytes that you need to keep going no matter what your body's telling you. I'm drinking it. I'm on day 3. I will tell you, I think it's delicious. I think it's too soon for me to tell you if I've experienced some kind of crazy clarity, but I'm always interested in trying things that are going to help me in that regard. Native Path. It's called nativehydrate.com/Wendy. And if you do that right now, the discount you're going to get 44%. It's pretty good. nativehydrate.com/Wendy. If you want to try it with me, we can do it together. We'll talk about it like girlfriends. I like it. I know I don't drink enough water. I know it. It says, get on the path, stay on the path. Well, as long as I don't have to stay in the bathroom, I'm good.
Someone found us on WEEU.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the stations. Is that the one in
Is it Reading? Out east. York?
It's exciting to hear that, you guys. I love hearing where you guys hear from us. Thank you so much for asking that question.
We hit 3K
Demanda.
already.
I'm just going to say they're rocking it. They are rocking it.
A lot of new followers. Keep hitting that follow button.
We hit 1 million likes on TikTok. Now, my son, Toolsy, you know his handle here in the stream, Michael, does our videos. It's been 1 year. 1 million likes.
Is that a big deal?
It's giant.
Okay.
It's giant.
Well, neither one of us are big TikTokers.
It's giant. No, I wouldn't do it if he didn't do it. I agree. So apparently Kamala Harris's team, she's AWOL, but her campaign demands a seated debate with notes on September 10th on ABC. I wonder, why is it always the Democrats who come up with the parameters? These are the conditions in which we will agree to bestow upon you our fine presence. And Donald Trump has had to grin and bear it. Well, he's suing George Stephanopoulos. So that inherently is a weird conflict of interest for the president. But why would you agree to these demands? This is what the post-millennial is saying. Kamala Harris wants to change the rules of the upcoming September 10th presidential debate to be held on ABC instead of a normal standing debate. Harris wants the candidates to be seated, and instead of both candidates speaking contemporaneously, drawing on facts and figures they know, she wants to have notes, as though it's some kind of an open book test and a freshman class. If you don't know what the hell is going on, you ought not be running for president of the United States. If you can't feel even the slightest emotion, connection, humanity on the 3-year anniversary of the bombing deaths of 13 servicemen and women, you ought not be running for president. I don't know how Democrats defend that. They suck. So how about this headline from the Liberty Daily today? Tim Walz, apparently another day, another lie, another deception. The leftist Minnesota governor already been caught in a long list of statements that have been documented to be untrue. Now has been caught in another. This time it's for an award he claimed during a previous campaign that he got, but he actually didn't get it. You guys, if you have to lie about who you are to get somewhere you want to go, I'm going to go with, you probably shouldn't be there. The report comes from the Minnesota Sun, which explained Walz's pattern of misrepresenting his record. It's called lying. It's not misrepresenting, y'all. It's not oopsies. Oh, that was a glitch. That was a coding error. Oh, I forgot to carry the one. That's purposeful. Walz's pattern of misrepresenting his record continues to come under scrutiny as he steps into the national stage as Vice President Kamala Harris's running mate. Well, this latest controversy uncovered developed when he was running for the U.S. House back in 2006. You know about the time that he campaigned on allegedly being prevented from George Bush and his team from coming inside and hearing Bush speak. Not true. His entire reason for getting involved in politics, allegedly, is predicated on a lie. Is anybody like scratching their heads over, wait, what? He probably even lied about being in the 4-H club. His campaign website stated that he'd received an award from the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce for his contributions to the business community. If you've got to lie about that, what else do you think he's going to lie about? Right? I'm no rocket scientist. But not so, said Barry L. Kennedy, then president of the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce. I hate when these people come out of the woodwork and fact check. Where's the fact checkers? Where are they? Where are all the Poynter Institute acolyte ne'er-do-well minions who are out there? That's not true. Well, in fact, in a letter to Tim Walz, this guy, Barry Kennedy, then president of the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce, confirmed, we researched this matter and we can confirm that you've not been the recipient of any award from the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce. We're going to come up with something so obscure, right? Who's going to fact check that? It's not like he won 17 Daytime Emmy Awards or he's won 7 Grammys. It's not like that. But if you have to lie about this, it's just gross. A copy of the letter was obtained by Alpha News, and the letter pointedly explained, look, I'm not going to draw a conclusion about your intentions by including this line in your biography. However, we respectfully request that you remove any reference to our organization, the Nebraska Chamber of Commerce, as it could be considered an endorsement of your candidacy. It should be pointed out, however, that the U.S. Chamber of Commerce has endorsed your opponent, Congressman Gil Guchnych, whatever his name is, blah, 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 blah. So Walz later changed his bio. Oh, oopsies. Sorry. And he changed it to this, to reference the Nebraska Junior Chamber of Commerce. Really? You get caught lying about one and you're so bold and brazen that you're just going to change a word? Yeah. Oh, well, you know what? I wasn't the JV captain. I was captain of the freshman team. That's where you go, ladies and gentlemen. And you wonder, why are people walking away from the Democratic Party? I don't know. It's hard to compute. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program. Did you guys know? How about this? I'm going to drop it on you. Ready? Half of Americans under the age of 35 would rather quit their jobs than do this. Fill in the blank. What do you think it is? Well, I'll tell you if you're right when you come on back right after this on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. This was so dumb. Brock and I both were like, say what?
Rob said he found us on RTA.
Oh, I love them. And then you realized when you can watch all of this,
oh boy,
right? Instead of just hearing, it really is all that you ever wanted. Thanks for laughing.
So I just thought of a funny joke.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
You're like Tim Walz.
Yeah. Well, he was the head coach. Well, really, he was like the jockstrap collector.
Dude was a hack. He's always been a hack. He will continue to be a hack. I'm going to run to the pate. Talk
Good.
about nice stuff.
I have big news that I'm not supposed to say today, but that's not how I roll. Dr. Dubiak, Body by Aim, 412-227-9255, 412-227-9255, bodybyaim360.com. He said, we're going to run a special promo starting tomorrow, so I'll let you know later. I said, well, just tell me now, because we don't say anything till tomorrow. So, of course, I'm going to tell you today. I got to make sure I give out the right info. The blood work panel that we always talk about that's so important to finding out what's going on inside your body, that the blood work that just, it doesn't lie to you. It's there in 5 pages back and forth, front and back, that tells you everything that's wrong with you hormonally, food, A1C, all the information you need to be healthier with all the junk they're going to start throwing at you. That's the October surprise isn't a surprise. They're going to come up with some disease that you are not going to be able to survive. He's doing the blood panel, which is normally $199 for $99. $199 for $99. Now, this starts tomorrow, but I wasn't going to wait. So get ready, get your phones ready, give them a call, find out what's going on inside of your body. I've met a ton of people. A lot of you guys have reached out on email telling me how you've taken your life back. And it does start. Everyone says the same thing that has done the program. It starts with the blood work. Finding out what's wrong, finding out where you're deficient. It's the key to everything else. It's the master key, the blood work. So it's $199 typically, now $99. 412-227-9255. 412-227-9255. bodybyAIM360.com. $99 to find out what's wrong.
That's the deal of the century.
That's a huge deal.
It's the deal of the century. There's no better for your health test than what Dr. Dubiak offers there.
I'm not going to get banned for. If he doesn't want me to say it, he shouldn't have told me.
What?
He said, don't say it. Just, we got a promo starting tomorrow.
Oh.
Well, don't tell me. Really? Am I not going to say it?
Apparently. All right. This is time for me to do something. Actually, I've already put it on. Brock can attest. I was joyful.
Hold on a second. Let me take myself off screen.
Wait.
But didn't I have to remind you this morning?
No, you didn't. I already had it in my bag, but nice try. Oh, whatever would I do without Brock's memory? Oh. So.
Well, I know you wouldn't have had your Dr. John Lakey.
A little squirt, a little dab will do ya. Here, let me see if I can give you a little. There we go. So I don't put much. But wherever you get fine lines, wherever you get shadows, right? Dark marks on your face, like shadows. There's a very scientific reason why this product that Dr. John Lakey, our renowned cosmetic surgeon guy, doctor to the stars in California, BHMD1.com, Beverly Hills MD1.com. There's a reason he created this, and then there's a reason why it works. So you let it sit for a little bit, and then it absorbs into your skin, and then it does something with the light. And what it does with the light covers up your wrinkles, and you begin to see a dramatic change in your skin in literally 2 minutes. So there's a video attached to this. I freely admit a video. This one, I just put it in my coffee. This one is totally worthwhile. Totally worthwhile. BHMD1.com/Wendy. Get it. Get it, buy it for a friend. It's always that thing where you're like, so-and-so's birthday is coming up and it's a girlfriend or whatever. You're like, what should I get her? How about the gift of erasing her face? Too aggressive? BHMD1.com/Wendy. I love it.
Nothing says I love you like you're ugly.
But no. Plus, Dr. Lakey is kind of, shall we say, kind of, he's a cutie. What do you want me to say?
What? No one's telling you to say it?
Mm-hmm. I think I just put it in my eye, though.
That probably wasn't the best idea.
I wasn't trying to.
Amanda's knocking out of the park with the questions today.
She's a stud.
Have you referred Wendy Bell Radio to anyone?
Wow. Fan of the day. Let's go. All right, so I kind of dropped a little teaser on you before the commercial break. Welcome back to the Wendy Bell Radio program. Great to be with you. And I said this to you. Half of Americans under the age of 35 say they would rather quit their jobs than do what? They would rather quit their jobs than work with their political opponent, than work with someone who doesn't have their same views. Oh, grow up. Grow up. I want to read this to you, all right? This is from the New York Post, but then I dug into the actual survey. And it's so much more. It's so ridiculous. And this is the culmination of decades of you and myself and millions of other Americans hibernating, being asleep at the wheel, cruise control, autopilot, whatever you want to call it. We were busy and we were not paying attention to what was going on in our schools. Our schools didn't all of a sudden just start teaching radical ideology. This has been a gradual process. And it's like death by 1,000 cuts, right? By the time you're finally toast, you've already been beaten so many times. We just didn't wake up. So listen to this. New York Post. The 2024 presidential election is just around the corner. Young employees are threatening to quit their jobs if their bosses express a political belief that they disagree with. It's so inclusive, isn't it? Isn't this amazing? How warm and inviting and open-minded and positive this chapter of American suck is. They want us to continue this path. Please. A new poll has found that nearly half of workers under the age of 35 say they would, in fact, quit a job over political differences at work. In an era of politicization, Americans have cut ties with partners, with friends, with family members over political disagreements. But now it seems they're even willing to leave a paycheck behind. I'm just going to clarify this point for the New York Post. We're a very understanding people. If you're like I am, you're a common sense conservative. You don't really care what other people are doing, as long as you're not paying for it and it's not impacting your immediate circle, right? By and large, we're apathetic. We're busy. But I'm certainly not going to refuse to collaborate with you if you have a bumper sticker on your car that I disagree with. These people conversely would. And then they need to go in all-out panic, psychological relief mode. Oh no! Let's bring in the counselors and the support llamas. Who's got a crayon? What can we do to placate these crybabies? This is what you get when parenting styles change from generation to generation. Can you imagine this sort of nonsense when you were out in the workforce at first? You did whatever you had to do, right? It's a sign that politics has become all-encompassing and that there's no place in society, that it hasn't penetrated. Worse yet, young people are totally intolerant of people they disagree with. Abso-flippin-lutely. But no, young liberal people are intolerant of people they disagree with. Look, I'm not a Republican anymore. I left that party long before this whole nonsense started with Joe Biden and COVID and all of that. I've told you this story a million times. When the Republican Party stopped taking charge, at least when I started paying attention to it, when Mitt Romney and John McCain became its leaders and its candidates, I was done. And I tapped out. And I became a libertarian. Now, I've changed my voter registration back to Republican, but I don't identify as a member of the GOP. I identify as somebody who is MAGA. Make America great again. Whatever it takes, that's where I am. This Harris poll, commissioned by the job search company Indeed, shows 60% of employees would prefer to work for a company with a CEO that shares their political beliefs. Now, I want to open up the poll now, all right? So that's a story about the poll. Let's get into the poll. And you can find this at Indeed.com. Headline: 40% of Gen Z and millennial workers would quit a job over political differences in the workplace. It's obnoxious. The lines between work and personal lives increasingly blurred. The subject of politics is virtually unavoidable, right? To some, I guess some people commonly discuss politics. I usually don't. I do it for a living. It's not what I talk to people about in my private life. But apparently Gen Z and millennial workers in particular are more likely to seek employers that align with their own political values. They want to be in their own little silo bubble. Makes sense. Not, but okay. Considering we have just under 3 months left before the 2024 United States presidential election, Indeed commissioned a survey in partnership with Harris Poll that could help us better understand how employees feel about the presence of politics at work and how it's impacting where they decide to work and for whom they wish to work. And while it's clear that the onus falls on employers to establish psychologically safe workplaces, what on earth has come of this country? Hey, Indeed, I've got a news flash for you. Knock it the hell off. It is not up to an employer to make sure their coddled employees are psychologically safe. How about you grow the hell up? I don't know. That's sort of my supposition here. It's kind of how I raise my 5 sons. Suck it up, Buttercup. Figure it out. I'm not worried about your whatever colored wristband you are wearing today for whatever cause du jour you believe we need to have, a therapist for. There's something to be said for, rub some dirt on it and get up and move along. Over a third of employees discuss politics at work, but more than half want it kept out of meetings. Okay. You know what? According to the Harris Poll survey commissioned by Indeed, 63% of respondents care at least a little about politics. 35% admit to openly discussing it at work. 44% say they've overheard their coworkers discussing politics while on the job. I don't know. It just makes me a little uncomfortable. They're talking about Trump. I need to take a long hour break. This is the wussification of our society. This is the emasculation of men. This is the namby-pamby, vanilla white bread, Melba toast version of American excellence. This is what you have when you let Democrats anywhere near power. Just going to say it. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, you can't find a stick shift in this car anymore, right? God forbid you like to just freaking do it yourself. Good luck. You can't do it anymore. Why? Because we can't do it. It's just too much to push down that foot and move everything. What? It's the wussification, the automation of America, of the world. I reject that. We specifically had to buy a Jeep Wrangler because it was the only car we could find that was fun and meaningful and reasonable that was a stick shift. Good luck trying to find it today. Oh, well, it has a paddle shifter, the people at BMW say. I'm like, do you really think pushing something with your thumb on your freaking steering wheel is the same as gunning up your RPMs and slamming it into another gear? No, come on. It's a paddle shifter. You're going to like it. Nearly 2 in 5 workers say they've experienced discrimination based on their political beliefs. You know what I'm going to tell you? And I'm going to go off the cuff here. I bet you 100% of that nearly 2 in 5 workers who've experienced discrimination based on their political beliefs have been discriminated against by Democrats. Conservatives really don't care. We really don't. Until you make us care. Indeed found that 28% of workers would consider resigning over political differences at work. 32% might leave if the CEO expressed views that they disagreed with. What's more concerning here is that nearly 40% of workers aged 18 to 34 would leave a job because of these political differences at work. And 40% of the same age range would also leave if their CEO expressed political views they disagreed with. You know what I would say? Suck it! Hit the door! Goodbye. 39% of survey respondents reported there being some social pressure to conform to a certain political preference at work. And 2/5 said that they were really upset because on a Zoom call, I don't know how they managed, you guys. On a Zoom call, these young workers said that they saw some kind of signage for the other political party in the frame of the person looking back at them. They couldn't take it. I can't do it anymore. Come on. What's happened? Can we get back to actually being reasonable people? And then the takeaway of this Indeed.com story is good company culture starts and ends with respect. You know where the respect is? For the owner of the company. You do your job, your owner of your company rewards you. Gives you some skin in the game. Period. And we're baffled why all sorts of kids are walking around needing therapy. I just don't feel right. I just feel like I need to talk to somebody. You know what you need to do? Go get a job. Get paid. Learn what FICA is. Understand what Kamala Harris's policies that she's barely even addressed are all about. Consider your 44.6% capital gains and the 25% gain or tax on unrealized gains. They want you broke now. You want to do a survey on that? I'm all about it. But quitting because you don't like that somebody is MAGA has a giant suck it written all over it. That's just me. When we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, let's talk about this. Why does the media have such a tough time telling the truth? It seems like that's a big, really, is that a rhetorical question? No, it's for real, because most Democrat voters have absolutely no clue, not only who Kamala Harris is, but how radical and extreme her ideas are. I want to walk into this with you because it's next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I mean, Brock, do you think I'm responsible for your psychological well-being?
I almost had to quit because of...
Were you thinking about it?
Well, you know.
It could be hostile.
Yes, you can be.
You guys have seen it. I mean, it's just...
Throw me downstairs, throw punch me.
Right.
Someone said their 46 did not win or didn't win. Today is my 46th birthday. It doesn't feel like a birthday. It sucks.
Oh, what are you talking about? Happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday.
What do you think it should be? Today's the day that you know what? I think birthdays are overhyped for a fact. I'm not a big woo. Some people have birthday months, birthday weeks. They got to travel somewhere. It's this big celebration. Everything's planned out. I love the people who tell you that it's their birthday. Oh, it's my birthday.
He just didn't tell us.
Oh, happy birthday. You're like, well, I mean, out in public or whatever. Well, and this is out in public too. But I've always been curious about people who do that, right?
They could do multiple things for their birthday.
Like what?
Get some Chuck juice. Get
Chuck
some gold.
Chuck Defense. Well, why don't we start with this? I'm going to give you guys, I'm going to do Canolodine, actually. I got out of bed this morning, and I will admit I've been off my Canolodine, my sublingual. I wanted to see what it was like. So over the weekend, I stopped using my Frost and my sublingual from Tricono.com. Canolodine, a natural a product that is not a drug, that has drug-like effects on pain. Think about morphine strength pain relief. And then think about having that in multiple different formats to trick your body into believing that you are taking painkillers. That's what it does, but it doesn't have the addiction, the side effects, all of that jazz, right? So I put the topical stuff on my feet, and then I take the dropper and I use the sublingual stuff twice a day. I stopped doing that. I got out of bed this morning and almost had to crawl into the bathroom to get it. I put it on, rubbed it all over my feet, hit the dropper, went downstairs and started to work. About a half of an hour later, got up to make a second cup of coffee. And I will tell you, 80% of the pain was gone. I still hurt, but I don't hobble. 80% of the pain was gone. Trycono.com/Wendy. Trycono.com/Wendy. It will work. It's what works for me. And I don't lie to you. So you can try it for less than $1 a day. Trycono.com/Wendy. Takes you right to the page and shows you everything that I order that you can order too. No pressure. Check it out. Canolidine. CONO. Canol. LO. Canol. CONOL. Whatever. Canolidine. Yeah, but it's, I don't know my glasses. Shh. Stop. Shh. Yes, exactly right. Mm-hmm. 12.9, almost 13,000, you guys. That's organic. That's just how you doing? How about 1560 on Twitter?
Yeah.
Remember that one day we had 8,000 there?
Yeah,
we
well, that's because we didn't have anybody on Rumble because Rumble was
that it?
down.
Was that the reason why?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't think so.
Over 5,500 comments.
That's fantastic. How about our
Rumbles
Rumble?
have slowed. I'm just going to stop you right
332. All right. This is the time we have to hit 3.5 because then I have an hour to slide for the last 500. Can we do it? Can we get 170? Look, I'll flex for you. And I'm freaking ripped. I'm ripped. I'll flex if you guys get to 350 or 3.5. It's a good look. So this is the point in the conversation where we circle back. We're going to Jen Psaki and circle our way back to the whole idea of why so many people who walk around with us are so in the dark. And it's difficult because if you're on this program, if you listen on the radio, if you're watching on Newsmax, if you're watching on Rumble or on our app, Wendy Bell Radio Network, you're obviously coming to a spot that you're plugged into. You're obviously politically inclined. I'm going to go with, the majority of you are conservative. I'm sure the lion's share consider themselves MAGA because making America great again and getting back to the basics of American exceptionalism is what pulses through our body together, right? But there's a hell of a lot of people out there who are like, whatever, they believe whatever the news tells them. And if that is your source of information, you're basically brainwashed. I don't know how to deprogram these people, except to scream at them, turn off the television. Dare to go beyond the confines of your legacy news, which for, 50 years has been lying to us, 30 years at least. Well, and then you see this. Newsbusters.org, one of my favorite sites. This is from the Media Research Center. And they say this, they've done this exclusive poll, right? And they say that most Democratic voters have no clue about how radical Kamala Harris has been and is. I mean, put aside that in 2019, she was voted the most radical, liberal, progressive member of Congress. That's more so than Bernie Sanders and AOC, anybody in the squad. Why don't they know? Because the Democrats, the media, run interference. So this is a significant new poll, and it finds that large majorities of registered Democrats and independents who voted for Joe Biden in 2020, exactly those who would be expected to support Harris in this year's contest, are mostly totally clueless, in the dark, about many of the controversial and radical positions Kamala Harris has taken. When asked about 10 different aspects of Harris's public record on issues as varied as her sponsorship of the Green New Deal, of completely abolishing ICE, immigrations and customs enforcement, completely eliminating private health insurance, because they haven't mucked up your health insurance with Obamacare and all of that garbage enough. Between 71 and 86% of these Democrats and independents said they either had not heard of Harris's position or were kind of on the fence. I want you to consider that for a moment. Each voter reported their top 2 sources for election news. You want to guess where they came from? This is where they're getting their information. Just over half, 50.2%, listed broadcast television as a main source of news, followed by cable news at 41.2%, social media at 34.4%, which is why I find it so intriguing that it's just so today that Mark Zuckerberg comes out and says, you know what? I sure wish I hadn't listened to the Biden-Harris administration and squelched all of these stories and censored people in real time. Curious. Where else do they get their news? Search engines, 16.7%. A smaller number of respondents listed national newspapers at 10%, public broadcasting at 9%, local newspapers at 7%, radio at 5%, and AI chatbots at 1%. So you've got a Democrat base that is not going beyond the confines of what is served up on a platter for them every day. This is how you have generational ignorance. This is how you get to this position that we're in. These folks aren't listening to my program. These people aren't searching the channels, listening to other viewpoints. They're not doing what Deidre from Little Rock, Arkansas, whom we spoke with yesterday, an RFK supporter who's now going to be supporting Donald Trump, what she was telling us. She needed to do her research. She wasn't convinced that everything she was hearing about President Trump or RFK Jr. was accurate. And lo and behold, after about half an hour, she started to see the light. How about this? When asked if they knew that Kamala Harris was a major advocate of defunding the police, 71%, no clue. Had absolutely no clue. 73%, no clue that she'd sponsored the Green New Deal. Because, you know, all of those policies are financially tenable. Not. How about 81%? Had no idea that she supported the elimination of private health insurance. Still does. 71%, no clue that she supports reparations to atone for slavery, for all the slaves that you didn't own and all the people among us who never were slaves. Got it. 72% had no clue that Kamala Harris never visited a conflict zone on the border as border czar. It goes on and on and on. But the reality is, this is where your media or your bread and butter of the Democratic Party. This is why Donald Trump, in my mind, would have every reason to say, you know what? I see no benefit in debating Kamala Harris in front of ABC News, which sucks. Let's come up with an actual fair base, a fair place to do this, not one cherry picked by the DNC. Well, when we come back on the Wendy Bell radio program, the media's complete drop of the assassination story, of the Trump assassination attempt. Is nobody in the media curious about this? Because we have new information. We were curious, and I've got it. It's about Thomas Crook's parents. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network.
I have a question.
That is really delicious.
About the show.
Yes.
Do you guys find it interesting that it's a radio show? Live stream. Because that was a crapshoot when we started doing this. Right? We weren't really sure how it would play out.
You mean on the radio?
Yeah. Well, no, that we live stream on obviously Rumble and the app, a radio show.
See, now I talk as though I'm on the radio, but I look as though I'm on television.
Right.
Right. I don't know. We just always thought it was kind of voyeuristic and kind of cool to be able to see behind the scenes.
Even the screw-ups.
I mean, you get to see panic. You get to see all of it. But I mean, I think that's sort of the trade-off. You guys come every day and we promise to be honest. I don't know. Seems to make sense. All right, let's talk about this. Roundhouse Provisions morning kick. If you've considered ever where Chuck Norris has gone, he is not in the ethos somewhere. He is 81 years old and strong as ever. And it says he has more strength, more stamina, more focus now than he did in his 50s. And his wife, who's probably in her 50s, is saying she's taking it too, and she feels phenomenal. So it's called
Roundhouse.
It's called Roundhouse Morning Kick. Okay. But you go there by going to chuckdefense.com/Wendy.
I chuck mine every morning.
chuckdefense.com/Wendy. So Chuck made a special video. Chuck Norris made a special video explaining what he's doing, what thing he's changed, and how that one change is affecting 3 very important aspects of his health. And then he explains how it's going to affect you the same way, right? He says if he could create dramatic changes in his health simply by focusing on these 3 things that sabotage our body as we age, he neutralizes it with that. A drink that Brock has been drinking. As I've been drinking mine, he's been drinking ChuckDefense.com.
Makes you want to whoop ass.
And you, right out of the gates, I could see that you have every reason to be kind of dragging because we have weird hours, but you were very energetic. And this is a great way to jumpstart your day.
I love it.
chuckdefense.com/Wendy.
I took
See
it
what
home
it
with
is. See how it works. You did.
I took it home with me for the weekend.
You did.
I did. And I typically don't do that. And yes, we do drink all of the stuff that we talk about. People say, do you guys really drink all? Yes.
Yes, we do. I would that's what I'm telling you. I'm drinking this hydrate thing because I guarantee you one of the reasons why I have gnarly headaches and fog is because I don't drink enough water. So when they sent me this and I started reading about it, I was like, duh, that's a no-brainer. And I will be honest with you as well. I'm going to get into not a Morgans. I'm going to do an Ireland contracting here. I don't think we really grasp the cost savings of Gary and Diane Ireland saying to their customers, look, we want you to be able to have new windows in your house. And if you need new windows in your whole house and you know it's going to be thousands and thousands of dollars, why not join us and we'll have our Amish installers put in beautiful Pella windows for you. You choose the style. We'll make it happen in a day. We'll get them in a day. No fuss, no muss. And we're going to give you 3 years, 36 months, 0% financing to pay it off. Now you're dealing with a company that's flexible in difficult economic times. And I appreciate that. I appreciate that from Ireland Contracting. 1-800-NEW-ROOF, IrelandContracting.com. Home exterior remodeling experts. That's what I'll say.
I don't know if someone asked, does Chuck Defense have caffeine?
I don't know.
I don't have a crash from it. So, I mean.
Let me see if I go to the page, if it'll tell us. And literally at the top of the page, it says this 2-minute routine transformed my health.
I like the probiotics. I hear from Dr. Mike all the time for my dog how important probiotics are for the gut. And then finding out through Darren how important your gut is.
Yeah, that was something I really didn't pay attention to much.
Yeah.
We are so grateful to you and to our wonderful sponsors. So thank you for helping us in this effort. I still have 3 to go. I know. Very lucky. All right. Let's see what we got coming up here, my friend.
I'm not going to do a roundhouse kick on live stream. Negative.
You'd pull something.
I was just going to say, I'd probably pull something.
You'd pull something and then you'd have some bruise that you'd want to describe to me. And I'd be like,
but I'd be okay because I'd put canoladine on it.
Well,
and be fine.
Yeah. You know what? If you put a little BHMD1 on it, you might conceal the bruising. You could possibly get away with that for all the people who'd be looking there.
Right. Who's looking there? I mean, groinal area? No, negative.
Oh my heavens. All right. So where are we? Did we finally get to 3-5? Oh, for heaven's sakes. We need 10 people.
No, we need 500.
I know we need 500, but we have an hour to get there. Don't leave me hanging. The groveling is really very
I did like
unappealing.
dessert juice too.
3-5. I did too. They'll come back. Can you imagine if they came back? We would have 4 different beverages, but they all are different, right? They're all different. I love them all. I'll see about this one. I will tell you, I drink it down. It's really tasty.
I'm going to try it on my water fast.
You want the mango peach, right?
I do like mango peach. It's yummy.
Does it come in beer flavor?
Oh.
IPA, hazy IPA flavor? I'd be like, oh.
You'd be out of it in a day. 5. You wouldn't even put water in it.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to your daily dose of facts to fight off the liberal gaslighting.
We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics. Folks, we got a lot of work to do. I don't only need you to get me elected, I need you once I'm elected. No longer just who gets to vote or making it easy for eligible people to vote. It's about who gets to count the vote and whether your vote counts at all. It's about who gets to count the votes, whether they should count at all. Who gets to count the vote? Count the vote. Count the vote. It's about election subversion, not just whether or not people get to vote. Who counts the vote?
You just got to try harder not to suck. Live across the fruited plain and from sea to shining sea, we are converting the Marxist left 1 hour at a time on the Wendy Bell radio program.
Welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Wendy Bell radio program is officially on the clock. Welcome back to all of you listening on the podcast, Wendy Bell Radio. Thank you so very much for downloading that onto your device, for liking, following, sharing it, giving us a 5-star review. We appreciate you guys being a part of what we're doing here. You know, it was interesting listening to Dan Bongino yesterday before this House committee investigating the absolute undeniable meltdown at the Butler Farm Show complex on July 13th, where Donald Trump was, millimeters away from death, and where people had their lives forever changed. Corey Comparator killed. The lack of journalistic interest in this story is phenomenal to me. And it is so profoundly offensive as a former and now recovered member of the media. Yes, I have a TV show on Newsmax. However, I'm independent, right? This is disgusting. And I had to stumble upon this article in the Daily Mail across the pond because our media are completely noseblind to it, if you will. Nobody's sniffing anything out. They don't care. They don't care that a 20-year-old kid managed to get up on the roof, that there was no security, that there were no radio communications, that there had been no drone that had been flown over, except from the 20-year-old suspect who had encrypted phones and whatever, bank accounts and other I mean, what? No questions about this. And so you are stuck as a common sense individual connecting dots. The more they avoid, the more suspicious you become. My question is, so was it Joe Biden who called on the hit? Or was it somebody else? Oh, that's very inflammatory. No. This is what you're led to. And then I get this headline in the Daily Mail, an exclusive headline. The father of the Trump shooter, Thomas Crooks, has apparently hired a powerhouse criminal lawyer as the FBI intensifies investigation into his role in his son's assassination attempt. This guy is just kind of a drip. He's kind of a soft, squishy zero who had to know his kid had all sorts of stuff in his room, right? He made incendiary devices. He had a bulletproof vest. He had all sorts of rounds of ammunition. He had a scope. He had an AR-15. He had a freaking drone. Yeah, I have no idea. Like, it's so weird. And the dad is a psychologist. Like, what? And nobody's asking questions beyond that. Beyond the people in Thomas Crooks' southern Pennsylvania lair who might have contributed to this. And despite the cell phone pinging that we know they've used, geolocating stuff from cell phones and satellites that can show us, very interesting. Somebody who was in close proximity to the FBI headquarters in Washington, D.C., was also for a while in close proximity to Thomas Crooks' home in Western Pennsylvania and his job. And I'm sure it's nothing. Really? There's no curiosity? And Dan Bongino, you have to love him, sitting down, no notes. An expert. He's able to say in under 5 minutes, beats the clock, and he's like, look, I'm going to give you 3 reasons why this is an absolute abomination. Bang, bang, boom, done. This is a joke. The Secret Service has been a joke. And he outlines that it's been a joke. It's been a joke for decades. Dan Bongino was in the Secret Service in the early 2000s. Houston, we've gone 2 decades since then. And apparently the technology hasn't kept up. They said, and he made a joke that's not funny, that the Secret Service's kind of motto was using yesterday's technology tomorrow. Well, how does that work? When you get outfoxed, outgunned, outsmarted by a 20-year-old, don't chalk it up as just some weird kid with an axe to grind. So I want to read you some of the just brief nuts and bolts of this as you're left with the lingering aftertaste of a completely disconnected media. They are as disconnected to this and this investigation and the abomination of it as they are to Kamala Harris being AWOL, hiding from everybody. The parents of Trump shooter Thomas Crooks have hired a team of powerhouse attorneys as the FBI continues to investigate just how much they knew ahead of their son's assassination attempt on the former president. The development comes as one family member shared with DailyMail.com that the FBI, quote, still very much has questions regarding how much the killer's parents knew, while revealing that his father, Matthew Crooks, 53, is a gun enthusiast who sold firearms to relatives in the past. Speaking to DailyMail.com, family member who asked not to be named said the FBI still very much has questions about how much they knew and how Thomas slipped through the net. The idea that someone may have assisted Thomas Crooks was given new credence Thursday by Florida U.S. Representative Mike Waltz. In an exclusive interview, he questioned whether the 20-year-old acted alone. The parents' choice of law firm suggests that they are bracing for possible criminal charges, as well as potential civil action from the families of their son's other victims. Goes on to tell you about the lawyer, who I care nothing about, whatever. Exclusive pictures show Matthew Crooks for the first time since it emerged that his son had been quietly cremated 10 days after the shooting. Dressed in a flat cap, blue t-shirt, khakis, whatever, on Wednesday, the father walked from his truck to the family's bungalow, blah, blah, blah. It has been 6 weeks, ladies and gentlemen. And we have gotten nothing definitive. No heads have rolled. You had Kim Cheadle. She resigned from whatever suck position as director of the Secret Service that she ought not have had in the first place. She was a DEI hire. How's that working for you? Oh, that's right. It's not. And we have a force, by the way, of the same agents who failed President Trump on July 13th being assigned his protective detail today. Because that makes sense. The only surmising I can come up with, and again, I'm not a Secret Service expert, but I am a common sense conservative mom. They want him dead. And it makes me so beyond sick to tell you that. You can't tell me that this is just, well, we don't really know what happened, so I guess we're going to move along. When you find out that crooks had encrypted cell phones and bank accounts and email communications with whom? You mean to tell me that the United States of America in the year 2024 can't crack this nut? We can't bust it open? Should we also then try to resuscitate the cocaine baggie in the White House where everybody is like, I have no idea who would be doing openly using drugs in the White House, right? It's such a mystery. And that is why I find some of these announcements by President Trump, the more Kamala Harris hides, the more President Trump steps forward and drops nuggets of his priorities. And he said something, and I'm going to play it for you here after the break. First of all, Bobby Kennedy Jr., Bobby Kennedy has confirmed that Donald Trump has asked him to be part of his transition team to help vet various people who will have very specific lanes in a new administration. That in and of itself is enough for the left's face to melt off. But that President Trump is announcing the formation, if you will, of a committee to investigate assassinations in this country, and that committee would have full declassification powers so that maybe RFK Jr. could get some real answers about who killed his uncle and his father. And that's just for starters. Don't miss these Donald Trump clips because it shows you everything Kamala is hiding from. Next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. All right, let me tell you guys quickly about Patriot Switch. There is not a product, 450 products. Think about a brand new store, and you never have to go into the store. You never have to be around people who bring their stupid dogs into the store. You don't have to fight for items. There's never a shortage on the shelf. You don't have to deal with surly employees or lugging everything home. This is done from the comfort of your home. You go online and you find 450 different products that Patriot Switch makes here in America by American workers using only the finest ingredients, all of these things better than the products that you presently use, whether it's toothpaste, mascara, lotion, tub and tile spray, laundry detergent, stain remover, doesn't matter. Patriot Switch makes it and they make it better. There's not a product I've tried from them. Not one. Well, that's not true. I didn't like the fabric softener. I've liked everything else. And
Really?
the reason I gave you the fabric softener, ever since I had COVID, my nose is weird. And I now have issues with certain fragrances. And I didn't like that fragrance because of my nose. Not because it didn't work, right? But imagine being able to do this from the comfort of your own home. And then 48 hours later, box arrives with all of your jazz right in front of you. You're not buying the big jugs of cleaners that's all water. You're buying concentrated stuff that's smaller and it's better for the environment, less plastic waste. Right? Less money to ship. You decide the quantity that you want to put in your bucket of water when you scrub the floor. PatriotSwitch.com/Wendy. It's not hard. It's not hard. And we'll happily walk you through it. PatriotSwitch.com/Wendy. And I think they have a new product line. We have a new product line, Apple a Day. I think it's called an Apple a Day. I think that's what it's called. I just got the whole kit. The whole bundle, Brock, it's fantastic. I don't think you'd like it because it involves makeup. Unless there's something you want to tell us.
I don't need it. Please, I'm man pretty all without it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. That is true.
Well,
I love the things that Trump is saying because he's going to say something coming up about veterans. And this is the kind of stuff that I don't think Kamala Harris can compete against. I don't even think there's a remote sense of competition, but they will stop at nothing to cheat. And they'll go as far as going to the polling places and ensuring that Republicans are outnumbered 7-1 in Detroit so that there's a 700% greater chance that they can do funny business and get away with it.
all right. 390 away.
Oh my gosh. You guys. We so need to get to this milestone.
Again. We were on a streak for a while.
Yeah, and then we fell off the wagon.
Yeah.
But you guys are so wonderful. 361. Wow. We have 11-7. So literally a fourth of you guys have rumbled.
Well, I saw that Darius said he's back, which means he left you.
Oh, he doesn't leave me.
Well, apparently he did.
You know what? Don't even try.
Apparently he did.
Don't even try. My computer says 3,200 comments.
Your computer would be wrong. We're at about 6,300 comments. Sounds like we need a question. You don't want to demand that.
363. Then Wendy went on vacation. Oh, what are you saying? Ultra.
They're blaming you.
All right.
Yeah. Everyone's allowed a vacation.
Here we go. Go ahead. Go ahead, crybaby.
I said.
Go ahead, you freaking snowflake. Go ahead. You'd probably like a paddle shifter. You're that kind of guy. Meep, meep. Oh, you know what? So we have this conversation in our household quite commonly. And quite frankly, I'm going to blow in my husband here because he was the impetus behind my closing monologue on my last weekend's Newsmax show. And my closing monologue is always like 2 minutes and 30 seconds, 2 minutes and 45 seconds, whatever. And I vomit out whatever I'm thinking about a particular subject. And I don't hold back. You know, the network can fire me if they think I step out of line, but they are interested in what we say. And my husband said to me, Joe had said to me, if Trump would just focus on the issues, don't worry about Kamala, don't worry about all of these other things going on. Just tell everybody what he wants to do. The glaring difference between them will be striking. And I kind of came up with a counterpunch where I said, you know what? It's funny that we all tell Donald Trump what he should do. When Donald Trump has been taking every bullet, literal, every jab, every barb, everything for us. Let's let the guy do what he does, right? But to Joe's point, I think this is very smart. I have a couple audio sound bites for you. This is what Donald Trump is saying now that RFK Jr. has joined him in the creation of basically a unity party. It is a party where different thoughts, different ideas are to be shared. And this is what he said on stage when RFK came out on Friday in Glendale, Arizona, and endorsed him. And he's saying this is what he's talking about, establishing this assassination commission, if you will. This is huge. Don't underestimate this. Go.
And this is a tribute in honor of Bobby. I am announcing tonight that upon my election, I will establish a new independent presidential commission on assassination attempts. And they will be tasked with releasing all of the remaining documents pertaining to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And they will also conduct a rigorous review of the attack last month. But I tell you, I have never had more people ask me, please, sir, release the documents on the Kennedy assassination.
You know, it's reason number 7,014 why he is such a threat. Why 238 former staffers of George Bush, John McCain, and Mitt Romney have come out right now in agreement, signing a letter saying Trump is such a threat, an existential threat to our democracy. No, they're a threat to you guys being scumbags. They're a threat to your uniparty surviving another 4 years. He's a threat to you getting away with all of this crap. And thank you for telling us who you are. We know who never to trust again. But Donald Trump wasn't finished, because he said something very specific that I think is going to resonate, particularly yesterday on the 3-year anniversary of the Abbey Gate explosion that killed 13 U.S. service members. President Trump said this.
When I take office, I will sign an executive order to stop every penny that Harris has been spending on the shelter and transport of illegal aliens, and we will redirect that money to provide shelter and treatment for homeless American veterans. And we will end very rapidly veterans' homelessness in America. We had it down to a level that was the lowest in a long time.
It is an embarrassment if we can't house our veterans, if we can't feed our children, if we cannot take care of our greatest generation. Who are we? I'm going to have a story for you tomorrow about a 96-year-old woman in California who's about to lose her house in her spot in a senior living facility because they're going to be transforming it into migrant housing. Really? Do you see what we're up against? Of course you do. And then there's this. Take what Donald Trump just did. This is what I plan on doing. This is what I wanted to do on day one. This is my plan, he says, whenever he's out and about. Versus this. Nothing from Kamala Harris, but a snarky response from her geek spokesperson, Ian Sams, when the anchor on CNN says, look, man, you said Kamala was going to do an interview. She was going to do a presser with us. What's happening? November is coming really quickly. Listen to the question. Listen to the snark and the suck of the answer.
And one of the places that she may be able to speak to her views on a variety of issues is in an in-depth interview with a journalist. This is something that she has not done since President Biden stepped away. I admit, as a member of the press, this is something that we place a priority on. But I think there are a lot of anxious Democrats, there are a lot of independents and undecideds across this country who would like to hear more from her in more depth on specific issues. When is that going to happen?
Well, as the vice president said, and I think you all know, she said that she's going to schedule an interview by the end of the month. I think everybody can look at a calendar.
How flippant. How dare you? You know, when the weaponization of government collides with medical malpractice, you've got a problem. We've got a problem. We're going to talk about it next on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. I think everybody's got a calendar. I think you guys know how to look at the calendar. Well, hey, Ian, you got 4 days, yo. I don't feel that she's going to be sitting down talking to people in the next 4 days. Rat fink liar. Oh. Texas Bullion Exchange. Texas Bullion Exchange shares your values. Texas Bullion Exchange feels the way about this country that you do. And they want to help you get a little bit of peace of mind in a crazy world. And that means helping you think long-term, well beyond now or next year. But think about planning for retirement and using precious metals in your portfolio or getting them in your hot hand. Whether you want to hold a gold bar, a gold coin, a bullion, or rather a buffalo, a round, if you want to invest in platinum, palladium, silver, or gold. If you have no idea how this works, that's where I was. You've got the right company with TexasBullion.com. 855-927-5557 is our direct number to them. And they are going to offer you a very rare opportunity to own something special. It is the Donald Trump Obsidian 3-coin set. This is a very low mintage. Not a lot of people are going to get this. This 3-coin set is one of only a few legal tender coins featuring the portrait of President Trump. Exceedingly low mintage, right? Making each coin an absolute rarity. And this obsidian is a black, sharp, glass-like rock that is created by rapidly cooling lava and used in conjunction with this beautiful silver in this 3-coin set. What a beautiful gift. What a wonderful collector's item. What a way to invest in tomorrow by buying today. The prices continue to tick up in value. 855-927-5557, TexasBullion.com. These are the folks I trust, and you can as well. I guarantee it. Wow. I got a lot going on here.
280. 280.
Joe sent me a headline, Brock. You'll love it, from the Babylon Bee.
Oh, boy.
Reporter who asked Kamala a question charged with hate crime.
But here's the thing about Babylon Bee. How far off are we from that?
Yeah.
Now, if you pronounce her name wrong,
yes,
you can pronounce Vivek,
Vivek, whatever you want.
It's not racist, even though he's what are they? A person of color.
Did you ever pay attention to Sid Vicious, the wrestler? No.
Why'd he die?
Mm-hmm. It's only 63. You know what? And it's a shame, but my mind immediately goes to, are they vaccinated?
No, wrestlers just took a beating back in the day. It took a beating.
Well, with steroids and such?
Yeah, that's part of it.
Hey, can I go full screen so I can show them my... I know. I promised it, so. That's good, right? Look. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You might need to make a trip to Morgan's Fitness.
Oh, you want me to do more
No, I'm
Gaines
just
Fitness
saying.
to you? Oh, no, I'm just saying. Kelly Morgan could kick both of our butts.
Speak for yourself.
Even if we were on Chuck Defense. Even if we were
I
drinking.
think I give her a run for her money now.
Do you?
Chuck Defense, yeah.
You feel like you're impervious.
Yeah.
now.
A roundhouse comes, a strong roundhouse comes in every bottle.
Kelly Morgan, Morgain's Fitness, MORGAINZ Fitness.com. She is fast approaching the next bodybuilding competition that only a lunatic would get involved in after the age of 50. And she showed me a picture of her bedazzled swimsuit.
Oh, that's what it was?
Yes. What do you mean if that?
Well, you sent it to me. I had no idea why you were sending it to me.
Why do you think I was sending it?
I
Wasn't
don't know.
my outfit.
You didn't put a, like, look at this. You just
First
sent
of
the
all,
picture.
so you know the top, right? But the bottom is like, pink. And I look at it and I start getting palpitations. I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know if there's enough tape to hide what now. See, I wanted to tape right here and would draw, right? Right there.
We can wrap some duct tape around your head.
Kelly is great. And she's a badass leader. And she's a role model to her children. She's a
Those
veteran.
are the women role models we need.
She's a veteran, but she's soft and kind and loving as she kicks your ass. And she'd love to help you achieve your fitness goals. So if you do live in Western Pennsylvania, Somerset and Cambria counties, you know that's where her 4
I've
gym
saved this
locations
picture.
are. And what?
This is what she does.
Look at the top. Look at this. Look at this young woman. Now look at the picture on the left bottom. Look how young she looks. Like losing, what did she lose? Like 30 pounds, like 20 inches. It was crazy. Crazy. And that's what Kelly does. She helps people do that. MORGAINZ Fitness.com.
I don't want to get fired.
I stopped an old man along the way, hoping to find some old forgotten words or ancient melodies. He turned to me as if to say, hurry boy, it's waiting there for you. Gotta take a lot to drag me away from you. There's nothing that 100 men or more could ever do. I bless the rains down in Africa. Gonna take some time to do the things we never
Welcome back to the Wendy Bell radio program. I think one of the greatest forms of retribution and even restitution, if you will, would be to take the people who have blown the whistle on whatever form of corruption, of illegality, of cheating, of abjectly abysmal behavior, and not only reinstating these people in their jobs, but elevating them and putting them in positions of power. I've thought this long time ago when we were listening to Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler, the IRS guys coming out, taking on the machine. And you know what? Remember, see something, say something. Well, what do you do when you see something and you say something and your government or your boss cans you? Because it's really all farcical. They want to get away with what they're getting away with. They want to create the illusion that they care, that people see things and report and are involved. And then they want to come back and punish you for so doing. And I remember listening to some of the Catherine Herridge audio sound bites she had with those Border Patrol agents who say they were stripped of their firearms, which is like, it's like the biggest slap in the face. And relegated to desk duty, all because they blew the whistle. The Department of Homeland Security and the Biden-Harris administration were not collecting the requisite DNA samples for the database that would give criminal investigators a pretty good lead on potential suspects when any of these people we don't know from countries we've not vetted arrive on our shores and are greeted with the open door turnstile. How they were penalized, punished, demoted. Right? This one, though, is super troubling to me. This is a story that speaks to each of us, no matter if we have kids. You were a kid. You were the product of parents. And we all have an obligation. It is, I believe, our moral duty to stand up and to speak out when we know something is affecting negatively a child. Did you know that in the Pennsylvania Turnpike, when you stop at one of the rest areas to use the bathroom or grab a cup of coffee, and I don't know how it is in the men's room, but in the ladies' room, you can go into a stall and shut the door. And on the wall in front of you, on the door in front of you, is a flyer with little pull tabs, and you can pull off one of the tabs that gives you the phone number for a hotline to call if you're a child who has been kidnapped and is being smuggled on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. Ladies and gentlemen, that we live in a world in this country where such a terrible flyer exists, like meaning rippable flyer exists, we have serious issues. This story really burns me. And all of the specifics aren't completely relevant right now, but you remember the door knocking that a nurse in Texas got after she put on Facebook the truth that the hospital where she worked was mutilating little kids whose parents had been bullied by obviously well-compensated physicians and medical staff and scared to death, told, well, if you don't jump on this gender reassignment surgery, there's a really good chance your child will commit suicide. And so bullied and with the fear of Almighty God, how many parents had, okay. This Texas nurse blew the whistle not only on this happening, this environment of pressure and bullying and threats. The hospital was billing Medicare. So tax dollars were paying for these transitions. Say what? She's been fired. She didn't give somebody the wrong blood. She didn't make a goof in the lab. She dared to do what Donald Trump dared to do the day he rode down that golden escalator. Dared to disrupt the suck. And I have to believe that in the God of even that I live in, the world where God comes back and evens the score, that there will be something that makes these whistleblowers whole again. Because it's lonely when North is still North and you know that you're risking everything, but your conscience can't keep you quiet. Headline: Christian whistleblower nurse is fired by Children's Hospital after exposing federal funding of gender affirming care. And that the freaking FBI knocked on her door. Hi, are you so-and-so? Well, we'd like to just ask you about your social media posts lately in America in the year 2024. Is that okay with you? The Christian nurse who blew the whistle on Texas Children's Hospital allegedly using federal funding for gender affirming care. She's been 86'd. Vanessa Sivage, 31 years old, announced on social media the hospital unlawfully fired her August 16th. Months after she was put on leave. It's almost like what happened to me in a few different iterations of my former employment. The hospital at the time cited things she quote unquote shared publicly as its justification for putting Savage on leave after journalist Christopher Rufo published her allegations that the hospital charged Medicaid to cover minors' cross-sex hormones and puberty blockers against state law. She now says her claims about the hospital and a rigorous and religious accommodation request to transfer out of her I guess she worked in an endocrinology clinic where she claims she was forced into the indirect participation in the care of kids on cross-sex hormones, contributed to the hospital's decision to fire her. So let me get this straight. You can be a namby-pamby Generation Z ne'er-do-well worker who is apoplectic when somebody has a Trump sticker in the back of their Zoom call. I can't do this anymore. Right? And you can quit your job and be like, oh, you're so brave. But if you are working in an environment that tramples your religious beliefs, whether it be with a vaccine made with embryonic cells or mRNA gene scramblers that forever change you and lead you to be susceptible to cancer and worse, you lose your job. Isn't that so curious? And she says this is unlawful for two reasons. It is retaliation for my coming forward with information on Texas Children's Hospital's egregious pattern of deception and Medicaid fraud. And this action also legally disregarded my request to transfer due to my belief that these procedures bring irreversible harm and lifelong regret to children confused about their sex. I don't want to be a part of it. I shouldn't be a part of it. And you are lying to the public when you say that Medicaid is not being used to cover the expenses. The nurse is now seeking to challenge her termination in court. She has set up a GoFundMe. It's gotten $50,000. Her goal is $500,000 because that's what she imagines it's going to take on the establishment, the industrialized medical complex of suck and the pharmaceutical companies. The only thing I am guilty of is telling the truth. And I am more committed to this fight than ever before. She wrote in this Give, Send, Go, which has raised more than $50,000. Last check, I looked at this morning at about 4:00. She went on to say there's situations she sees as part of a religious struggle, noting, I believe that human beings are made in the image of God, and the intrinsic biological differences between men and women should be affirmed, upheld, and celebrated. Now, isn't that refreshing? Isn't that refreshing? One procedure listed in the document suggests one appointment that the hospital had was with an 11-year-old female to male transgender person. 3 days after the hospital announced it was halting such treatments. Texas Children's Hospital denies all of this, of course, saying in a statement that it never condones any criminal act. This is happening in Texas. How do you think this would go down in Pennsylvania? Maybe in Philadelphia? Whistleblowers are the new journalists, the new truth tellers, the new information portals, the same way programs such as this and others are your new media. There has to be a writing of this. Because one child who scrambled forever, one body that is needlessly mutilated at the hands of these people is one too many. And they'll gun for you if you dare speak out. Do you think people out there who watch CBS, NBC, CNN, all that stuff, you think they know about this? Of course not. You are a product of the information you dare to expose yourself to. When we come back, you heard about white fragility, right? All of you people out there feeling fragile and white. The author of that, a PhD. Oh, wah wah. She got a little Claudine Gay. It's unfortunate. I hate when you plagiarize your dissertation. Oh boy, wait for this little sweet revenge next. I mean, literally, you cannot script this any better. The woman who writes a book about how fragile you are if you're white and how you're embarrassed about slavery and racism because it's baked into who you are, and how we should, if we have ideas that come from Black people or brown people, that we should give them credit where credit is due. And that's how we should live our lives, plagiarized from Black and brown people in her dissertation. Honest to God, you cannot make it up. You cannot make it up. Where are we, Brock?
3.
What?
381.
Oh my gosh, we only need 190. It's so easy. We've got 10,500 people watching. We've got 2,000 on X. Do you know how to rumble? All you have to do is click that cute little thumbs up button underneath my face. That's your rumble. And if you're watching on television,
you can rumble on TV now. Get back to the home screen where there's a little scroll
get
bar.
your microphone in front of you.
If you go to the home page where the little scroll bars, you can fast forward, rewind. You can also go over to the right. There's a rumble there. If you're on your phone, close the chat, hit the rumble, get back in the chat, tell everybody you hit the rumble.
It's good.
Do you have brain fog?
I don't. I feel like I have clarity.
Well, there is only 10 minutes left by time.
And along the way, I should say my utter disdain for most people is somewhat placated.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's done something to my mood. Maybe it was just being with you people.
You people.
Does that seem belittling or something?
No.
Well, the way you said it made it feel like that. Don't go anywhere. Why are you people leaving? What are you doing?
Wow.
You want to stay and give us a rumble.
150 now away. I don't see it happening.
I do.
I don't.
I have great faith in
that's
you.
a lot of people.
I have
for
great faith in
9
you.
minutes.
Can we? We can. Let's go.
If you hate the FBI,
Hit the rumble.
hit the rumble.
Hit the rumble. If you're not about gene scramblers and little kids who are 11, like I said, I cut off Barbie's hair at 11 thinking it was going to grow back. I wasn't thinking about my gender. Until maybe somebody who was an adult preyed on me and groomed me into thinking that that's where life and love and joy would come from. I'd rumble over that if I were you. You hate those people too? Zzzt, zzzt.
We have reached 7,000 comments.
See, we're 130 away. 130 away. Come on.
You can be that. Help a struggling talk show host. You too.
We need to have like puppies.
Yeah.
Going like this.
Now, if I was to say puppies,
But the way you say it is so disturbing.
Who's a good boy?
No, you say it in a certain way, which is weird. You're like puppies. No, like
Everyone loves puppies.
Don't stop. Don't say the word.
Puppies?
Don't say that or cookies. Stop. just stop. I can't hear it.
I mean, what a good day if you have puppies and cookies.
You should have went somewhere and gotten those things.
I
before
should
you-
have gone.
Oh, really?
Please. Really?
I know.
3-9? I just don't. And
90
I'm not
people.
trying like
Let's
reverse
go,
psychology.
let's go, let's go,
100
let's
is
go.
a lot now because most of the people here probably rumbled. I'm just saying.
3.9. Come on.
Maybe if you'd be nicer to me.
Nobody cares.
Prove to her you care, rumble.
I don't care. 3.91. 90 people. 8 minutes. You can do
8 minutes.
So I will go back to my hypothesis that I posited months and months ago that white college educated liberal women are the scourge of society. Wow, that sounds very unfair, you might say. Well, I'm sure all of you have a white college educated, toxic, triggered liberal female in your life. This is not somebody who's inclusive. This is not somebody who's open-minded. This is not somebody who can see past political differences. You know darn well I speak the truth. So it kind of tickles me when I find out that this woman who is behind the white fragility book, the book that basically tells you, even if you don't look at somebody who's different than you and think anything of them, if you're white, you're inherently fragile and you're a racist. Basically, that's what it is. Well, what a kick in the pants. I hate when this happens. When people who finger wag and try to get their toxic liberalism on us, and we don't want it, we're trying to brush it off, when they get ensnarled in plagiarism. Aw, wah, wah. Robin DiAngelo, the best-selling author, please, of white fragility, is a big believer in citing minorities. In an accountability statement on her website, which makes repeated reference to her PhD, nobody loves a PhD quite like a PhD who's got apparently either low testosterone or a very small view of themselves and needs it to, I'm Dr. So-and-so. Okay. DiAngelo, 67, tells fellow white people that they should always cite and give credit to the work of BIPOC people who have informed your thinking. You know, Black, Indian, people of color, whatever that stands for. Doesn't matter if their contribution is just a few words, she says. When you use a phrase or ideas you get from a BIPOC person, she says, referring to Black, Indigenous, I beg your pardon, and other people of color, credit them. Man, she's something special. But the white diversity trainer, who's a fraud, she's a half-baked, dim-witted fraud, has not always taken her own advice. According to a complaint filed last week with the University of Washington, where D'Angelo received that precious PhD in multicultural education, she plagiarized several scholars, including 2 minorities, in her doctoral thesis. In 2004, she wrote this dissertation, Whiteness in Racial Dialogue, a Discourse Analysis. Lifts 2 paragraphs from an Asian American professor, Northeastern University Thomas Nakayama, and his co-author Robert Kryzik, without proper attribution, omitting quotation marks and in-text citations. D'Angelo also lifts material from Stacy Lee, an Asian American professor of education at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, in which Lee summarizes the work of a third scholar, David Theo Goldberg. The passage creates, and then it shows you exactly what she lifted word for word. Like it was a coding error. Oh, that was a software glitch. You know what? It was a decimal point. We totally didn't mean that to happen. Isn't going to work here. You stole from people, and then you told us not to steal from people. You suck. My heavens. The complaint describes dozens of cases in which D'Angelo, who makes and rakes in about $1 million a year in speaking fees, passed off the work of others as her own. It calls into question the key credential on which D'Angelo built her career, that PhD, which has relied on the notion that her therapeutic workshops, which can cost up to $40,000 and insist that all white people are racist, are backed by scholarly expertise. I hate this. No one who respected the basic expectations of scholarship would do this, said Steve McGuire, a member of the American Council of Trustees and alumni, and a professor of political theory at Villanova. The amount of copying, verbatim language without quotation marks or clear and consistent citations in these examples is appalling. Oh well, for me, but not for thee, they say. Isn't it just amazing when you get to see in real time the cycle of suck complete itself? It's like a beautiful butterfly emerging from the cocoon, except it's like an uglier version of it. Stop finger wagging us. Be authentic. Write your own stuff. Tell the truth. Protect the children. Give a crap about this country. That's all we want. We're very basic people. Very. Just tell the truth. Refreshing, ain't it? Come back tomorrow. We'll see you in 21 hours right here on the Wendy Bell Radio Network. Peace, everybody.